to your garden, I eat from your tree, I step in your river, and it takes me deep. Your heart is my temple, your tears rinse my feet. I walk out, I'm able to carry your peace. It reminds me of a song that I heard long ago. Maybe I've always known that you were right there. A simple melody playing over and over in my dreams. But somehow out of reach, eluding me until I release. You come close to me when I release, and I let you take the lead when I release. My heart starts to see when I release. When I release, you said, come to my garden, eat from my tree, step in my river, let it take you deep. Your heart is my temple, your tears rinse my feet. You walk out, you're able to carry my peace. It's an ancient time.
What's up, everybody? We are live in the building. You are with the crew. It's Tuesday night, and this is a super Tuesday, guys. This is like a big day. Election day, Super Tuesday. You know, all the shenanigans going on with the court cases and everything. But we're live everywhere. Shout out to all the people joining in on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, on Twitch, on what else we got? Rumble. Yo, if you're on there right now, I see you guys joining on Instagram. Make sure you hit that like button and make sure you drop a comment in there. Let us know where you watching from, because we're gonna get in on some crazy topics today. And you know, we catered the stream. You see the little picture in picture. This is specifically for Instagram. So all the people watching on the other platforms, sorry, but Instagram only lets us show everyone this way. So we did this for Instagram. So if you're on Instagram, you know, show some love. Hit the like button and share the video and say what's up. We're going to talk about some stuff. Join in on the conversation as well. And if you're on Facebook, you know, say what's up. Shout out to Courtney. I see you on there. Say happy Tuesday. But yeah, we're in the building. Hang with us. You're watching Young Lion TV.
Young lion, everywhere I look, they're dying. Everywhere I look, they're dying. Young lion, everywhere I look, they're dying. Everywhere I look, they're dying. Young lion, won't you get up and start fighting? Everywhere I look, they're hiding.
Yeah. We are live with Young Lion TV. Shout out to everybody again who's watching. Listen, I got with me the fellas in the room. Without further ado, sitting right next to me, and in that bottom screen you're looking at right now is the coolest Asian in the world. He is Mr. Simone Chang. Give it up for him. Why is our sound effects sounding so crazy? And then, of course, sitting in the other chair, back.
Making my return.
Making his return. He's a busy man, but he's back. He's back on the scene. He's like Donald Trump back on the ballot in Connecticut or in Colorado right now. He is the most confusing man in the world because he's the half black, the half Indian with the Spanish last name.
Better believe it.
Mr. James Garcia. I thought robotic crowd. And I got sitting in that square below him is my brother, but he's everybody's big brother. Steve actually said that on stage when I referred to you as my big brother. That was funny. He is Mr. Jake Evans Jr. the third. I'm gonna say Junior. Shout out to Doran on Instagram. Said big hello from New Jersey. Hey, we're in New Jersey too. So shout out to the Jersey fam. Yeah, we don't.
We don't vote till June 4th.
Why am I not? Oh yeah, I gotta pull you up.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
New Jersey don't vote today.
And of course, we got to give a shout out to the one holding down the production over there. She is the best producer in the world, and she is our mother, and we love her, Miss Angelique Lopez.
Her hands in the top.
I know.
Well, now you go, Daniel.
And I got okay. Thanks, Mom.
She's your mom. She tells you what to do.
My mom just never can let go of control. She has to just kind of like.
I thought you were going to forget yourself.
Yeah, I know, but ever since we made a point to do it, I do it now.
Okay.
I gotta do me first. That way this doesn't happen. But I am every light-skinned guy that you know, your cousin, your brother, your uncle, and
every light-skinned / white guy.
/white guy.
Yes.
You get all of it.
Conor McGregor.
And any white celebrity / light-skinned guy with a beard. I am the host, Jamie Evans, and thank you guys for joining Young Lion TV. Again, man. We are just a group. If you're new to the podcast, if you're new to what we do here, we're just a group of men, family members, brothers. We grew up together. We spent a lot of time together, and we always had conversations about real life, about things that we've learned along the way, things that we've researched, we've studied, and we what we do is we want to bring that to the people because men tend to only be able to talk about certain topics. A lot of the podcasts that you may watch are like sports podcasts or comedy podcasts or just politics, arguing, debating over politics, and we kind of get into some other topics. So it's definitely a faith-based thing because we all believe in Jesus over here, and that influences everything that we talk about and everything that we do. So if that's something that you can get down with, make sure you share the video. Share it because the algorithm doesn't like what we talk about, so we need you guys to share it to help us out. And on top of that, we have a Patreon. If you want to support, head on over to patreon.com/youngliontv, and you can sign up to become a part of the Pride, one of the Young Lions, for as little as $3 a month. Sign up over there and become a member. Shout out to some of the Patreon members I see on Facebook right now, Jeffrey and Courtney. I see you guys over there. Jeffrey said, I be in on it. What does that mean?
He always says stuff like that.
Yeah. But yeah. So other than that, we had a a cool little show last week. The City Winery show. We were promoting it on here for a few weeks.
City Winery in Philly.
City Winery in Philadelphia.
James was smooth at the show.
Yeah, man.
looking
He was the smoothest
looking
brother in the room.
dapper.
Yeah,
Boy.
I don't always get dressed up, I'm in pink clothes, as you see. So I take the opportunity. Plus, I get to see my boys. It's a grown vibe out there.
There was a grown vibe. It definitely
was.
was a grown vibe. But it was a fun night. We really appreciated. So many people came out.
Yeah.
And people that I went to kindergarten with showed up. I was like, what is going on?
Yo, I was talking to somebody about that. It was amazing to see like all aspects of our career, every level of our career.
Yes.
Selling CDs.
There was people from that portion. People from
the cover band with your dad, with the musicians from that era.
From the casino era. Yeah, man.
Y'all family showed up. It was
Your soccer coach from high school.
high
school
soccer
showed
coach.
up.
Nice.
We had a whole
soccer
couple
crew.
tables of the soccer crew there.
guys,
yeah, that was fun. And then just family and friends, and it was a great time, man. Here I'll play a little, just a little bit of some of the vibe that was in the place. You could pull this up, Mom. Let's see if we get some. All right, remember we said the theme for tonight was gratefulness, right? So if that's the theme, this is the theme song. And if you're grateful in this building, we need everybody to put their hands together like this. Let's bring some energy to this place. If you're grateful for anything, let me see those hands together. Let's get this party going. I know it's a Thursday night. I know you gotta work tomorrow, but we're gonna have some fun while we're here, guys. Come on. Everybody feeling all right? Come on. We're gonna do it like this. Here we go. Come on. Grateful. Come on. Grateful. If you're grateful in this place, let me see y'all sing along with us. Sing it. Come on. 3, 4. Grateful. Come on. I know we got more grateful people. One more time. Come on. Grateful.
Oh, I was living for.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. The vibe
That's
was
awesome.
The vibe was nice, man. And shout out to Dougie, our young guy who was filming that. He just starting out, 18 years old. But the impact that the show had on him was crazy.
Yeah,
So.
he enjoyed himself.
Yeah.
He was like, man, you guys sound better.
Yeah.
You sound better live.
Live music is great.
Yeah.
Service wasn't so good, but
Nah.
No?
Talk about it.
a little slow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't too thrilled about that.
Yeah, we don't get that side of it.
Yeah.
They to me they waited. We sat down for a while. We got there before you guys went on, and you know, it wasn't that much people, but I felt like it was like we were looking for a waiter. We were trying to eat before, or trying
show
to
started,
Yeah, show
yeah.
started. You know what I mean? And so we were waiting. I mean, I had no doubt you guys were gonna kill it.
Yeah.
You know, everything else, you know, was great, but the service, they could
It
step
was
that up a
probably
bit.
your waiter because I actually went out before the show and Jess, they were already bringing their
Yeah.
food. Y'all had y'all food.
Yeah, no.
It was probably
They had a lighter hue, if you will.
but
A pigmentally challenged person.
the waiters were black. So weren't they?
No, the one they had was not black.
Your waiter was on CP time. That's what you trying to
Boy,
say?
tell me about it. We had to ask so many times, but the whole point is, like, you know, like I said, I'm not worried because I don't know. I know you guys are gonna kill it. I'm not
Yeah.
worried about the show, about that. It's just like, you know, it could really be a venue if they get certain things under order,
Right, right.
where
right.
people have people fed and, you know, and enjoy themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand that. That definitely, because that's the other aspect that they're selling for the show is that you come there, you get good wine, you get good food, and you're gonna pay.
Yeah, it's
It's not cheap.
No, it's not.
So yeah, if they could get that
Yeah.
under control. See, from our aspect, it from the artist standpoint, they do such a great job of taking care of the artists at City Winery that like we don't ever see that side. So for us, it's like such an amazing experience. Like they really take care of you. Like
Yeah.
anything we needed, they would get for us. Anything we wanted, you know. And they were quick with it. They would bring it to the green room, and we're good with.
Yeah.
They took care of us.
Yeah, Jeffrey took care of us.
Yeah. Shout out to Jeffrey. Jeffrey,
And the
man.
waiter, man, he was on it.
See, that's the thing. That's the
I
thing.
need to hang out with you, Jeffrey.
Listen, tell him.
I thought I was gonna wear a blazer. I was gonna get service. So
You
give me the blazer.
tell Jeffrey like, yo, you supposed to be my Patreon. Why are you taking care of
Me and you are friends, Jeff.
He said the right thing, though. He said, I'd be on it.
Yeah.
No, but you guys killed it, man.
Thanks, man.
I brought my boss and his fiance, and they were amazed because
Really?
I play your music when I'm on the site.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know, everybody says he's like, yo, those guys are really good. Again, the biggest question is what
What is
are
it?
you?
Yeah.
No, what are you guys? And where do you?
What type of music?
What are they?
JB said it on stage though. It's like we have all different types.
Yeah.
This song is a rock song. This
Yeah.
song
Yeah.
is, you know, this is the reggae feel.
That's why I said that, because it's like for those that was their first I knew there was a few people that had never seen us before, and I'm like, if you're gonna hear a bunch of different genres,
Yeah.
and understand that like
Right.
this is what we do, you know.
Yeah.
It's all over the
We're
place.
just influenced by so many, you know, different things that we listen to, and it
No,
just comes
yeah, it was
out.
great, man. They
That
loved
was
it,
your
man.
boss and his wife?
Yeah, his girlfriend.
Oh, his
Well,
boss, I
fiance.
didn't know.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
I-
I think that's we were talking about this when we were in Jamaica.
Yeah.
right? How like the audience, they're doing country, they're
Yeah.
doing gospel, and the audience is just loving
Loves
it,
every
right?
aspect of it.
But we've been marketed to so much in America that people think they
Yeah.
should be in a box. Like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
there
Yeah,
should
we all
be
fit-
this,
yeah.
there should be that. You can't, and if you don't have that in other countries, like if you're just used to, okay, I like that, I'm gonna say, because you're not as marketed to.
yeah, you whatever's good is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're just like, you came across this, you came across that.
Right.
And I think for us, that's what we try to do. Like for us as musicians, we kind of come from the place, well, we like this.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to not do this just because other people might say, well, that's too different from
Right.
from the other things you do.
Yeah.
Or being forced to have to be like something else to
Yeah.
cross over into whatever genre, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you could say like that has been to our detriment in the music business, because a lot of A&Rs, a lot of labels don't know what to do with us, don't know where to place us, and want us to be an image or a certain box or a certain thing that they can wrap their minds around marketing.
Sure.
Okay, this belongs here. Now I know how to market this. You know, if you don't fall into that lane, then they kind of just like they can't understand it until someone else co-signs on it, and then they're like, "Oh, this is genius." You know, that's how it always is.
What you guys have though, more than anything else, is the element of surprise.
Yeah,
Like you guys have that. Like
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Because there's no expectation. Like,
Yeah.
what is this gonna be? You know
Right.
what I mean? Like, and that was him. He was like, kept on texting me. He's like, dude.
during the show.
Yeah, because no, after he left the show, he was like, because his whole thing was like, everybody says they're good.
This is gonna be good.
This is
Yeah,
gonna be
yeah,
good. He's
yeah.
like, you get up there and you're like, you know, because he actually has a pretty good. He's a younger guy, but he has a good musical. Like he likes we cross genres.
Okay.
When we work and stuff like that. So
This is the guy I met, right?
yeah.
Okay,
He's the one that
Yeah, he did the
kitchen,
cabinets. Right?
So
Funny.
he's very open minded with music, but he's like, man, he's like, they're. He's like, I don't know. He's like, where would you find this? Like, where? I was like, bro, I was like, they're just different. They're just their own thing.
That's why we just say adult contemporary. 'cause
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
I wanna
What
say-
genre? What
I want
radio?
the camera this time. So I want to say that I'm proud because every time at the end of the show, people, or even during the show, people say, "Oh, that's their mom," and then my kids will introduce me afterwards. That's our mom, and I get so proud when you guys say that.
Oh,
thank you, Mom.
Dude.
Yeah, you should be.
Yeah, because we were thinking about denying you, but then we said,
But you guys sound great. The sound, the overall place definitely. It sound good. You know, nice. The seating, like I felt like, as far as like being in the audience, it was like, man, this is nice. I like, because I didn't realize City Winery was like across. There's like plenty
"Yeah,
of
they're all
work,
over."
so
Yeah,
they seem to be catering to more of that like artists,
yeah.
musician.
They definitely are.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
definitely are. They do the artist wine series where you can
Right.
get that, you know, a wine bottle that has their specific logo on
Right.
it and things like that.
Yeah.
Overpriced one. But Philly, you know, it's funny because like Philly is a musical town
Yeah,
that I feel like it doesn't utilize. Maybe I haven't gone, but like I feel like Philly is such a musical place that doesn't utilize its heritage.
yeah.
Yeah. Philly, like most of the musicians come out of Philly or
Yeah.
Nashville.
yeah.
Like just in terms of working musicians.
Yeah,
Even the guys that are like touring most of the time,
That's
are
what I mean.
From
From there.
Philly and
Yeah.
Nashville. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But in terms of music scene, it's not the greatest.
it's not
No.
the greatest, and that's a shame because it was known for that.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. I mean, so many hit records came out of Philly. An entire sound that changed music came out of Philly.
right?
Yeah.
And for some reason, you know, it kind of like changed. It
Are you
died off.
talking about Neo Soul?
I guess. I mean, that
Yeah.
that came second, but
Yeah.
I meant, you know what I meant.
I do. I was
Yeah.
just, trying to do a joke that wasn't funny.
But they do want they already want to have us come back in the summer.
Nice.
So, you know, we'll set up for another date
Yeah,
there. And you know, hopefully you'll get better service this time.
yeah. No, that's nothing
Sorry
to do
for
with
that,
y'all.
man.
That's I know. I mean, I saw the reason I was expecting outstanding service. Jamie posted a picture. That brother had a leg of lamb. He was getting a back rub. I said, "This is what it's gonna be like." I'm heading down. Not
Yeah.
quite.
That's how the
Man,
art-
yo, that charcuterie board that they gave us
Yeah.
backstage,
Yeah.
man, that cheese.
Yeah, they hooked us
that
up.
thing is good.
It was funny because Dougie is so innocent and young. Like he never experienced anything like this. So he we're backstage and they're taking everybody's order. So I called him. I'm like, Dougie, tell her what you want, you know. And then he tells her like reluctantly, right? And then she walks away and he's like, so how are we paying for this?
My man.
I was like, nah, bro.
Yeah. But hey, at least he asked.
Yeah, I know.
He's like, let me get.
Yeah.
Speaking of
Yeah.
crab legs.
No.
That's
But
a
that
kid
would- that would
that's
be
raised.
Jordan.
That's a kid that's raised right.
But they definitely take care of you there as an artist.
Yes,
Like,
they do.
and that's hard to find.
Yeah,
a lot of places.
We've played so many shows in so many venues,
That's
and there's
surprising.
only a few that
Yeah.
really go above and beyond for artists. And
That's
City
surprising.
Winery is one of them.
Yeah.
Everyone we've
Yeah.
been to.
Even in
Yeah.
terms of like the sound checks, the engineers.
Yep.
Like usually it's top notch.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
quick.
Yeah.
'Cause, you know, we've been to some
Nightmares.
6-hour sound
Yeah.
checks. You know
We're
that.
not naming nothing.
Well, I know it's good because this is the first time I see y'all post rehearsal. So I'm like, it had to be good. Jamie don't post that because Jamie be yelling at people. I'm sorry.
We don't have time. You gotta fix so much. Yeah, it's just,
That's what I'm saying. It's like y'all were relaxed. Y'all
Yes.
was like,
it was smooth.
Yeah, I saw
It was
all
smooth,
right,
yeah.
this is gonna be good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Energy's high. Eating lamb and rehearsal on time. Come on.
We had to pay for parking though. That was the only thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the
Philly.
city, man. The city. Yeah. Had to
Yeah.
pay for parking.
Yeah.
so question for you guys:
Yeah.
do you guys ever get nervous?
I don't get nervous.
No, not nervous.
I don't get nervous. What I get is I do get a little bit like anxious to do it.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And I also get like focused, start
Yeah.
thinking about, all right, what's going to be, you know, like how am I going to start this show? Like when I started thinking about, all right, what I'm going to say.
right.
That's why like the whole thing about messing with everybody about being in our 40s came from, because I started thinking about that at rehearsal one day, like how, you know, it's a Thursday night, it's harder to get people to come out nowadays on a weekday.
Yeah,
So I'm like, how am I gonna like use that? You know what I mean?
Right.
And it ended up working, and it led us into the first song. So I started thinking like that, like, all right, how am I gonna start this? How are we gonna like grab the audience from the beginning? You know what I mean? And get them into the show.
Yeah.
Because my whole thing is I don't want to just go up there and play some songs and, you know, pretend like this is what we do and, you know, like our music, please. It's like I want people to feel like they had fun with us. Like
Yeah,
we have
connected.
fun up there. I want
Yeah.
everybody to have fun with us and be a part of the energy, part of the show,
Yeah.
and get something from it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think they do. I think that's why people come to the show and they're like, wow, that was really good.
yeah.
Right.
We don't want to be some pretentious artist up there acting like,
Yeah.
this is our music, you better like it.
Yeah.
On the other, you know what I mean?
Right. Take
or-
ourselves too
or
serious.
on the other side, like, are you gonna like our music? You know what I
Yeah,
mean? That
yeah.
too.
Right,
So it's
right.
like, no, this is what we do. You know, take it or leave it type
Right.
thing.
And the crazy thing is our songs are about serious stuff.
Yeah.
But we don't take it that serious while we're up there. It's like there's moments.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
There's
I
mean,
moments.
Yeah, you gotta.
There's moments where
Yeah.
I can't hold back the tears.
Yeah.
I mean, what is it about? It's
Yeah.
about a feeling, right?
Yeah.
You're bringing forth a feeling and from moments that you've had from
Yeah.
things, you know. So and you're trying to portray that, so it's important. But at the same time, like, it's not about like the agony and the like. There's most of our songs are about like, yeah, there's this pressure and yeah, there's this stress and there's this fight, but at the same time, there's
There's
this
a
joy.
way
Yeah,
out of
yeah.
it.
You know,
And there's
yeah,
joy.
there's joy through it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's another side.
Mm-hmm.
So I think like there's always tension. You know, that tension and release.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I talked about the study of the brain with the anxiousness and the
You
gratefulness.
can't be both at the
can't
same
be both.
time. Yeah,
Because that exemplifies that. And plus we had a song called Grateful, which was going to lead to. So
yeah,
it just it made sense, you know.
yeah.
Yeah.
I know. For me, like, I always like, I catch myself thinking about like, oh, I really want to show people our music, and sometimes you can get too caught up in that. For me, like, I think about that, like, instead of just
I hope they like it.
instead of just letting it be what it is. You know what I mean? And or just like, even in terms of like, if we mess up or something, like, you know, how do we recover from it?
Yeah.
In a way where, because there's always going to be something
Yeah.
that goes wrong.
Yeah.
It's
But you know,
always-
most of the
yeah.
time, people ain't gonna.
Oh, we
know.
from where we
Yeah.
are now.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the one thing that I do like hyper focus on is like just making sure I have everything super prepared on my end, because I'm, you know, triggering stems. I'm, you know, making sure the show runs smoothly, making sure everyone has the click doesn't mess up, making sure the computer doesn't crash. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, there's so many things that I'm trying to remember to do
To ensure that
and
you-
also still perform So those are the things that I'm just like constantly going over. All right, I got to make sure I'm on point with all this stuff.
Yeah. And even thinking, like, for me, like, because to me, a lot of these songs are very personal because most of them I wrote, like, lyrically,
Yeah.
right? So, but then I'm like, you can get so caught up in that, to me, that I'm not focusing on the moment of singing that,
Yeah.
right? I can get out of that focus because I want to make sure I remember all the lyrics.
Right.
But then you don't remember the lyrics and you forget the lyrics. Like there was one point I went to Simone.
I saw you,
That was
dude.
so funny, dude.
What's the first?
It was
Like-
back to life.
Yeah,
Back to Life.
And we were about to go into the Phil Collins intro, and you asked Simone, "What's the first lyric?" Right?
Not of Phil Collins. Of
Oh,
Back to Life.
Back to Life.
Yeah.
Because I kept in my. I'm like, yo, what?
I just
kept
laughed.
hearing.
I just laughed and I told him.
You showed me how, and I couldn't think of the.
Yeah.
I saw, but a lot of times that happens to me, and then right at the end I get it. You know
Yeah,
what I mean. But
yeah.
I just wanted to make sure, like, okay, I got to come in strong.
But then he killed it.
Because y'all know I'm watching everything out of
Yeah.
my peripheral, so I'm playing that intro, and I'm like, Jake's not coming in, okay.
Yeah.
And then I see you walk over to Simone, I'm like, he don't remember the lyrics.
yeah,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They don't notice.
Right. Well, it's how you guys introduce it to you. You guys have like a mellow,
Yeah,
so like like how you guys also jump right into the song. There's
Yeah.
a build up,
yeah, we tend to do
so
that.
you can
Yeah, the only one we jumped into was Gold. Like we just jumped into that one, but
Yeah.
most of we always try to like. We always try to use that element of surprise where it's like lure you into a little bit of softness and
Yeah.
then jump out there.
and even like the way the band sounds.
Mm-hmm.
There's a polish feel to it.
Yeah.
The lyrics, you could hear the lyrics.
Yeah.
You could hear, like, and you guys, like, even though you do talk and everything like that, you're not like, this song means
yeah.
it's deep.
Yeah, we don't do long
Writing.
soliloquies
I was
about
into bed walking and I saw a
Right.
goat.
Right.
You don't do that.
No,
You
because I
know.
think it becomes more about you.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
we want these songs to speak for themselves.
Yeah.
Right.
And sometimes, like, I talked more than I
Yes.
usually talk in release. But it's just, that's because I felt that right
Yeah.
there. But
And I talked in the beginning of release because I don't know, I just felt to talk
But it
about-
wasn't. It's weird. Like when an artist try to rope you into the
Yeah.
emotion, you're like,
Yeah.
all right, and then it's like you feel like you're being
Forced.
Well, for me,
You're being
yeah,
forced
Yeah.
to-
It's like
Believe what you know.
because we don't. Nobody know. Like if someone's listening to, it, they're not gonna know. Like I know your songs. I
Right.
know what it means to you guys. But if it's somebody like say like my boss, like he doesn't know you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's not. It's like they people want to generally. Whoa.
Yeah.
Like this is
Yeah.
different. You know what I mean?
and music speaks to the subconscious.
Yeah.
So you don't want to just like everything that we want you to think about while you're listening to the songs.
right,
Think
right.
about that, right?
Yeah. No, he did say that.
Yeah.
He said the lyrics are very like you could tell it was written. Like it has purpose.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's good.
That's good, man. Yeah, a lot of
Speak-
people that heard us for the first time were very, very like pleased by the show, so that was a good thing. Yeah. But I want to stay on this because the first thing we're going to get into is music industry related. The I'll just mention this. I titled this episode P Diddley,
Oh boy.
aka the Black Epstein. have you guys heard about the court case that
No,
he's
I
got?
haven't. No.
Yeah.
You've heard some stuff about it,
Yes.
some rumblings.
Yep.
So we all know that Sean Puffy Combs, P Diddy, aka Diddy. I'm calling him Diddley now because of these court documents.
Oh man.
So he had the whole situation with Cassie where he settled out of court, for all of her allegations that she put against him with like weird sex parties and things that he made her do allegedly, and his behavior. And there's been tons of rumors. We all know the stories about the rumors with Diddy in the industry, and we've heard about things with him and Usher and him, we showed the video of him with Justin Bieber back when those allegations came out. So he settled out of court, very swiftly with the Cassie case, and we kind of left it there, right? But then a new court case dropped of a producer that had been working with him for a long time, where he is alleging all kinds of crazy things. Let me see if I can pull some of this up. Let me find it. Okay. So first I want to play this because Cat Williams was on Joe Rogan. Did you watch this?
I did watch it, yeah.
Okay. So ever since the Shannon Sharp interview, people have been all over Cat Williams, like listening to what he's saying, because he's saying a lot of things and he's exposing a lot of things. And he did bring up Diddy in that interview. Mm-hmm. He did bring up like the parties, the elite parties that he was offered to be at and things like that. Mm-hmm. And what he says here is very poignant about the industry, things that we've shown many, many times, the origins of Hollywood. I'm sure you guys know all those stories.
Yeah, Kid Rock did one too.
Kid Rock did one?
He was on Joe Rogan.
He talked about the Bohemian Grove. Mm-hmm. Yes, I did see that clip.
And the trans wearing dresses, men wearing dresses and stuff. Yeah.
But you know, he kind of talked about the origins of Hollywood. And we've talked about that. I mean, I'm sure if you guys go back and watch our Baby Burlesque video, which was like towards the beginning of Hollywood. Have you guys ever seen the Babylon movie? It's called Babylon with Brad Pitt.
No, you said I haven't watched it.
Yeah, yeah. You guys should really watch that movie because it really shows the start of Hollywood and what they were attempting to, like what the vibe was then, which was just all about sex and debauchery and like drugs.
It's hard. It's hard to get through that movie, dude.
Yeah, just because
of all the mess in it.
Yeah,
for me.
But the point of watching it, why I'm saying it, is because they're depicting it as like this is what Hollywood was back in those days.
Yeah,
and it's called Babylon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if you know the history of Hollywood, you know that these people moved, like the original film, like headquarters was in New Jersey. Before that, that's where all the films were produced out of. Yeah,
New Jersey.
Yep. I didn't know that. And then they actually wanted to move away to do their own thing, and have no one looking over their shoulder and produce these films that they wanted to produce. So they moved out west, and that's how when they established Hollywood. But here's Cat Williams kind of talking about Hollywood a little bit. Okay, it's not playing. Come on, X.
Industries can be built upon your ability to know how certain things are going to hit certain people. And this was before we called things promotion and marketing. You know what I mean? That's Hollywood is not really there to entertain you. Like, that's great that happens. But propaganda is something that is important to all civilizations.
Well, propaganda in Hollywood movies.
That's pretty much all I just wanted to show. Like, he's basically talking about how Hollywood is a tool for propaganda and how it was designed that way. And when you look at like a lot of the CIA, declassified documents, Operation Mockingbird, all these things, you understand that there was a push to propagandize to the masses through film, broadcast, radio, TV, which we're also going to get into later because I have an interview with someone who was an ex-CIA member talking about their tactics and exactly what they do to manipulate people. So thinking about that from Hollywood standpoint, and then the music industry goes hand in hand with that, and how the music is used to propagandize certain ideas to the masses as well. This is the total opposite, and another reason why I feel like we've kind of always been on the outsides. I've just stayed independent because there's certain things that we weren't willing to compromise on. And when you find out, when you dig into this lawsuit from Diddy, it kind of shows Diddley. It kind of shows that there is this elite like ring of people that are in control, gatekeepers. All right, so now we're going to move over to a little bit about the lawsuit. So people were posting it all over Twitter. Recent lawsuit alleged that Puff Daddy has hidden cameras all throughout his house in a Jeffrey Epstein-style blackmail honeypot. Sean Combs is also accused of trafficking underage women. This lawsuit also claims Diddy's girlfriend, City Girls rapper Young Miami, is complicit in the trafficking and allegedly sexually assaulted the producer with her cousin. This is the producer that's suing him. Their photos are listed below. And this dude has like photo evidence all through the lawsuit. Like these are all accusations and allegations as of yet, but the documents from the lawsuit has a bunch of pictures included because he was around them all the time. And he's claiming that he has hidden cameras all over his house. So all these little parties he was doing, these freak offs, quote unquote, that they were called in the court documents, where he would have high-powered people always at these parties with women in rooms. He's filming all of it. That sounds exactly like what Jeffrey Epstein was doing. So if you wanted to compromise a bunch of powerful, influential people, the influencers of the time, that would be a great way to do it. And who better to do it than someone who was propped up like a P. Diddy, who was he co-signed by and allegedly was in a relationship with, allegedly. Clive Davis.
Well, that wasn't his mentor though, right? But he was.
That's who gave him his deal though.
After he left Andre Harrell.
Yeah.
Andre Harrell.
Andre Harrell was his mentor.
Yeah.
Right.
But he left Andre
and went with Clive
for Bad Boy.
And then I was thinking about this too, like they were kind of telling on themselves a lot back in those days. Like the names of the record labels, we just kind of like accepted the fact that these record labels had the worst. Why did all the black labels have like Bad Boy, Death Row,
Murder Inc.,
Rough House, like all these like Murder Inc.,
Rapist, Miss Rapist.
Yeah, it's like what was going on there with
Just
that?
chaos.
Like, just like, but I guess he wanted to live up to that name. So also in the lawsuit, there was a bunch of allegations towards some of the people that he was in relationships with, and the names were redacted, right? But then later on in the lawsuit, it talks about who these two people were and describes them as one of them being a rapper from Philly who dated Nicki Minaj. Anybody know who that is?
Schmeek Nils. Allegedly.
Allegedly. So all over. So for the last week, it has been going crazy.
The only thing I saw pertaining to that was when years ago, Wendy Williams said something about him, and he got kicked out of New York for it. She got kicked out of New York.
Yes, I was actually going to bring that up.
Yeah, that's
I
recently what I saw.
Yeah,
I think I saw on like some feeds. She has like I seen videos of her speaking, and she can't even get words out.
yeah.
She has like dementia.
She has a crazy illness right now,
Yeah,
and they just did that document. They're doing that series on her now.
right.
What? I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is that whole thing.
She has been talking about this from the beginning.
Yeah,
She did.
She got kicked. She got kicked
Yeah.
out of Hot 97 because she
got fired from it. That's why she came to
She had
Philly.
some dirt.
Yeah.
She had some dirt on
him,
P.
yeah.
Diddy, and then
That's the only thing I saw recently that pertained to that, because her documentary came out and it was saying Wendy Williams was trying to tell you all about this, even though she's messy herself.
Yeah.
She was trying to say, hey, but this is like, I had to be like 20-something years ago. It was like a long time.
Wow.
But these kind of parties were going on.
Right. So then people started posting all of these pictures of Meek Mill and Diddy wearing matching outfits, and this video got posted up. Put this up. This video got posted up. This is Meek Mill in his pool at his house.
What's up, King Son? Man, you doing it, man. You deserve it, Daddy. You putting in that work. Proud of you. I love you. Yeah.
People are posting all this stuff like, there's some weird
Yeah,
behaviors.
I saw one. Somebody made of him and Fabulous, Drink Champ, and he's asking to party with him.
Who was that? Puffy?
Diddy was asking Fabulous.
To party with him?
Yeah. How come you don't party with me, man? it's weird. It's like, but everybody's. It's like there's so many of them. It's like, oh, it's kind of.
But then we found out that what's his name was going to a lot of these parties too.
Who's that? Jake's.
Yes, TD
TD
Jakes.
Jakes,
Yeah. Right.
Well, there's pictures of
He's
him.
been at
Yeah.
yeah. There's
Yeah, he's kind of. He said he was his mentor.
Right.
he's been at a few.
Okay.
Let's
let's-
go with this.
Where are we?
Let's get a little bit more of a breakdown of this lawsuit, because I'm telling you, this lawsuit gets crazy, bro. It gets crazy, and it speaks to, like, I'm talking about the ones that are really, really in charge of the industry. Here's
So the gatekeepers.
the gatekeepers. Yes.
So yesterday, rapper Meek Mill made a post saying anybody going against the way of God is a heathen. He made this post after being named in a lawsuit against music mogul P. Diddy, in which a producer accuses Diddy of coercing him into soliciting those who sell their bodies for money in order to sleep with them. He also speaks about being given substances and waking up in bed next to those kind of workers. Producer even provided photos of Diddy and his son with underage girls. And the lawsuit mentions artists like Meek Mill and Usher for allegedly having relations with Diddy. That's interesting because during the Cat Williams interview that shook up Hollywood, he mentioned having to turn down $50 million 4 times in order to protect his integrity and his behind. Because, quote, P. Diddy be wanting to party. Now this tweet is about to get even more interesting because in the midst of all this and Meek Mill tweeting that anybody going against God is a heathen with a devil emoji, he releases one of the most dark, disturbing, and satanic trailers for his album Heathenism. Now watch this and ask yourself, what God could Meek Mill be referencing? I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say not the God of the Bible. See, when you have someone promoting demonic imagery as blatant as this, and this, while continuing to promote violence and lifestyles that lead to death, there's no way he can be talking about the one who called himself the way, the truth, the life, and the light of the world. And this is also interesting because I remember Meek Mill calling out rapper Trippie Redd, accusing him of, quote, repping the devil, which Trippie Redd clearly does, as he can be seen doing here in one of his videos, and here with 666 tattooed on his eyelid. I mean, like Cat Williams said, this seems like the year that all lies will be exposed because it's God's side and the other side. Listen to this from the book of Luke. For there is nothing covered that shall not be revealed, neither hid that shall not be known. Therefore, whatsoever ye have spoken in the darkness shall be heard in the light. We're living in the time where the Lord is exposing the darkness and those who work for it in order to bring people to his light.
Definitely seems like there's an exposing going on right now.
Yeah, and like going back to Wendy Williams, I think that's we gotta. There's unauthorized exposure, and I think that's where she falls into. Like people who wanna expose something instead of trusting God.
Yeah.
People who want to have something that they can. That's about control, right?
Right.
Yeah.
You're trying to grasp something or.
Well, she said if you saw any of the documentary, like when they were talking about her beginning, she was obsessed. First of all, she was very insecure from her childhood. She always felt rejected. She always felt not good enough. And she always thought that she was going to validate herself by being like Oprah. Because she saw Oprah and saw I could be that. Yeah. And she was obsessed with tabloids.
Right.
Knowing the gossip about celebrities. So then she just translated that into radio. And no one else was doing that. You know?
And then there's an element too, I mean, not just her, but that's in the world. An element of when someone starts feeling, when someone is feeling unaccepted or they feel, ostracized, knowing someone is doing worse than you or finding out something about them that you could tell sort of uplifts you in a weird way.
Yeah.
Where people sort of get off on like the misery of others, the dismay of others, the things that they find. They feel like Well, I've asked people like, why do you watch certain shows?
Yeah.
Where it's chaotic and this is not who you are. And they, well, I just like I just like seeing that their life is worse than mine. I've heard people say that. Yeah. And she could fall under that category where it's like she wants to enjoy chaos.
She's also providing that for other people.
Yeah, she's providing.
Right.
It's entertainment.
Right.
Because even when she did her show, she has an audience and she'd be like, come in closer. Mm-hmm. You're on a TV show.
Right,
come in closer.
Right.
She's setting it up like she's telling you the tea, but it's a TV show.
She's being. Remember the character on A Living Color who was always in the window?
Oh,
said,
yeah.
You ain't heard that from me.
Right.
She's that.
Yeah,
She's that. She's,
right. And people get off of that.
Isn't that 227?
No.
No, that's Kim Wayans.
Kim Wayans.
She played.
I forget.
Oh yeah,
the woman
And
in
she
the
was
window
saying-
with the head
said,
wrap.
Nobody talk about Miss Jenkins.
just reminded
if anybody
me.
talk about Miss Jenkins, they gon' But let me tell you something.
It reminded me of 227.
Yeah. But it's that she's the gossiping
Gossiper, yeah.
mammy that you know from the hood.
Yeah.
That's gonna give you all the tea about everybody.
Right. And some people get thrills from that.
Right, because then it makes you feel better about your life. If everybody else got all this chaos going on, now all of a sudden you don't feel so chaotic. You feel more normal.
It causes you to become critical.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I can't think of the word. Which
cynical?
Thank you. That's what I was looking for. And you become a cynic.
Yeah.
You know, and cynics are disrespectful.
Yeah.
Cynics don't care about anybody.
Right.
They just want to, and that's, I don't know if you want to get into that yet, but that's the whole perception thing.
Yeah.
Right. That's the whole reality where we see it from somebody's perception. We're being fed the way to see it. And that goes to the judgment, how we judge things, right? Because some people might be going through things, but there's a backstory, right? You might see somebody did something, but how did they get there?
Yeah.
That's the perspective, right? It's not perception, it's perspective.
Right.
Like in order to get their perspective and how they could get to where they got, right? But how they made the decisions and how they got to where they got, that's perception.
Yeah.
Right? But how they got there was what they went through, the experiences. And then how they took that in, perception.
Sure. Right.
And ironically, to add on to that, what we also witnessed with her and someone like her of that type, although she was propped up as sort of like the bringing in the tea, her own life was destroyed by this, her marriage and her life, and it's tragic, to be honest with you. It's not because people are like laughing at her like, oh, but it's tragic because she consumed a certain thing that actually ended up consuming her.
Yeah. And she was attracted to a certain thing that ended up being her downfall. She was attracted to that lifestyle. Yeah. She was attracted to hip hop culture. She was attracted to a certain type of dude. She says it in the thing. I like the guy who was rough around the edges. I like the guy who was a thug. You know what I mean?
And then he ends up
cheating on her, having a baby with a whole nother relationship with a woman.
He was in a relationship with a trans.
What?
Was he?
At one point, yeah.
Oh my God.
I don't remember this
Yeah,
part.
that came out too.
Wow.
This was a while ago.
That wasn't in the documentary. They left that out. We don't want to touch that one. They just talked about his relationship with this woman for 14 years who he bought a house for her right up the street from where she was living. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. But like
is that
you were
gossip,
saying.
Jake?
What?
The trans thing?
I don't think so. It was like it might be, but I swore it was like known. Like it was just out there.
I've never heard of
I
this.
remember this from a while ago.
Let me see.
This is when she was like on the radio.
Wow.
Was it her and Judge Mathis? Judge Mathis went at her one time.
Was it?
But yeah, it speaks to that's how you know it's demonic, because people you're only congregating together. What?
All I keep saying is Wendy Williams trans.
Like, no, that's what I was thinking too, because I heard people make that.
I don't see nothing about Hunter suing man over gay relationship. Wendy Williams' ex-husband Kevin Hunter suing man over gay relationship. Yeah, I don't know, dude. I don't see nothing about that.
This was a while ago.
Okay,
a while ago. But again, it's demonic because people are only going to be gathered around you, right, to take somebody down. That is demonic.
Yep.
Yeah. That's the mind. We're gathered together. Like when you're gathered together for quote unquote tea, right? Or the gossip, you want to destroy somebody.
Yeah.
Isn't that when they were trying to stone the prostitute?
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Yo, isn't it so like symbolic that her whole career is, her knowing, and now I'm seeing tabloids about her having dementia.
Mm-hmm.
She don't know.
Right.
So you think that's...
Or she knew so much about other people she didn't know what was going on in her own life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It could be viewed in many ways, like you said. Like
you reap what you sow.
But he's saying the irony of like wanting to know all the gossip, needing to know all the gossip on everyone to the point where now
you don't know
she can't even know anything.
Yeah.
That's sad.
Yeah.
That's sad.
There's like videos of her. I don't know if we can pull any up, but like,
I mean, in the clip I saw, she did look. I was like, whoa.
I mean,
She's
not just
out
that.
there.
She has diseases.
Yeah,
she's dealing with.
she has a couple lymphoma, I think, and a couple other. I think she has the same thing Bruce Willis
She
has.
has a thyroid disease. She
Yeah.
has an issue with her foot.
Yeah,
Like,
that's the lymphoma.
okay.
Yeah, but let's get back to the Diddy thing because that's how we got on that tangent.
Pray for
And
Wendy.
Pray
Pray
for
for
Wendy Williams.
Wendy.
Yeah,
But
yes.
yes.
Well, the reason why I'm showing the Diddy thing is because the music industry is so influential, just like Hollywood, and the things that we look past, and how we've gotten to where we got. Because I'm going to show you guys something that has just been like going viral recently of a 9-year-old rapper. But this is how we got there. This is how we platformed these people and gave them authority and made all these compromises along the way, and let this type of stuff go on. This is how we got to where we are now. But I want to show you some more of this lawsuit just so we can understand what exactly he's being alleged to have done. And Candace Owens did a really good breakdown of it. So, and she goes into the executives involved and stuff like that. So I'm going to play some of her breakdown.
Attempts and trying to murky his name. So again, you don't know what's real, you don't know what's not, until this recent lawsuit, and this one's different, guys. A man named Rodney Jones has come forward to sue Diddy. And
How about that outfit, huh? James, come on, man. You gonna get put the rerun on?
I'm not down. I'm not that down.
Not your average lawsuit. I will say right now, many lawsuits are in fact frivolous. I have fought and won frivolous lawsuits. This person, however, his name is Rodney Jones. He lived, traveled, and he worked with Diddy as a producer. And he is alleging that he has hours upon hours of recorded footage and pictorial evidence, which has been included in this document, to support his claims. And I have to say, these claims seem very credible. Now, to be clear, Rodney, also goes by Lil Rod, is suing Diddy and others, we're going to get to who those others are, for $30 million, claiming that he was subjected to sexual misconduct for the duration of the production process of an album. It is a 70-page lawsuit that has been filed in the Southern District of New York. And he is claiming that while working on the album and living with Combs in New York, California, Florida, other locations, that Diddy repeatedly groped him, touching his, I'm sorry to say this, guys, his anus and his crotch without consent, and attempting to groom him into accepting a homosexual relationship by showing him explicit videos of others in Hollywood. Yes, they have named other artists, claiming that homosexuality was a normal practice in the music industry.
One of the artists she's talking about in that he used to groom him with was allegedly Stevie J, who was a producer under Bad Boy for many years, and he was also on Love and Hip Hop. But this guy was a huge fan of Stevie J, apparently, and so in the lawsuit it alleges that Diddy used to show him videos of Stevie J doing gay acts as a way to be like, see, this, everybody does this type of thing. That's what he alleges in the lawsuit.
He's also claiming that Diddy would walk around the house naked and force him to watch him shower, and is alleging that he went forward and told Diddy's chief of staff, Christina Karam, about this, And Christina came back to him and said, well, Sean will just be Sean. So we're going to go through some of these explosive claims. Again, right at the top, I'm going to make it clear so that I don't get sued that these are all allegations. Everything that I'm going to say after this is an allegation that is being claimed by Rodney in this lawsuit document, which we will include as a link for you guys if you are watching this on YouTube. So let's go through the big claims. Ready? Number one.
This is crazy.
This is perhaps the biggest claim is that Diddy and his son murdered someone in plain daylight and got away with it. That there's apparently a man that they know, that everyone who works with Diddy knows, that they can call and they essentially will get everything cleaned up. And they're implicating the LAPD in this madness because they produced fake reports. And he's got some real good evidence to back up these claims. He says that one evening during a camp that they were running with several musicians, Mr. Combs and Jay Combs were in a heated conversation with somebody named G. And while this conversation was moved out of the studio and into a restroom that was adjacent to where Jones was sitting, he heard approximately 2 feet away from him again, Mr. Jones is the producer that's suing him, gunshots suddenly ringing out. He recalls hearing multiple gunshots. Mr. Jones immediately went into a state of shock and fear that he would be shot next. He genuinely believed that he would be shot through the door due to how close he was. After the shooting ended, a crowd gathered around the restroom. When the door finally opened, Mr. Combs and his son exited. G was lying on the restroom floor in a fetal position, holding his stomach and bleeding out of his leg and his hip area. Everyone stood around and looked up at him. Frustrated by the lack of aid that was being provided, Mr. Jones, the producer that's suing again, dropped everything, ran to the guy, and immediately began placing pressure. As he was applying pressure on his stomach, he realized that G was gushing blood from another area. He decided to lift G up and place him to sit on the toilet, and he asked the crowd to call the ambulance. Now, here is what is interesting. The ambulance does arrive, and Mr. Combs, according to Mr. Jones, Diddy gives strict instructions to inform the police that he had nothing to do with the shooting. He also forced the producer to lie to the police by telling them that G was shot while standing outside of the studio. And the police just believed this, despite the overwhelming evidence that this shooting did not take place outside of the studio and that it instead took place inside near the bathroom. He includes in his lawsuit this photo of the bathroom and we are blurring it here, of the blood in that bathroom. And then it is stunning because he also shows how the media then reported it, right? A fake police report was produced and then fake headlines were the result. This is CBS News. Man shot outside party at Hollywood recording studio. The key word there is outside. How on earth could the LAPD be implicated in lying? Well, he alleges that there is an individual, again, that they know that they can call to clean up any types of murders. And that individual will make sure the right officers write down the fake police reports and that those are then fed to the media to cover up murder. The second big explosive thing that comes from this document are the allegations that Diddy hosts freak-offs, essentially sexual events to procure blackmail on other people in the industry. That they all come and they have these drug-fused parties with underage boys, with underage girls. And throughout this lawsuit, he names multiple current rappers that have been involved in these parties and are therefore existing under blackmail, right? So if you can suddenly record somebody and they're hooking up with a person that is underage, if you're doing drugs and Diddy has cameras on it, well, then Diddy owns you. Which leads me to think, what even is gangster rap? It's a question that I have been asking a lot. It seems to me that there is something intentional, that they are intentionally feeding us filth via the media.
So the fun thing with the serpent is, how does it...
Okay, you can pull it down, Mom.
The Black Epstein.
Yeah, that's why I was saying that. That's why I was saying, title. AKA the Black Epstein, because you can see how that can be used. I mean, and then when you think about what Cat Williams was saying in that interview, you think about some of the other people that have spoken about these parties that they were invited to and how they, like 50 Cent has said, I don't party with Diddy. You know what I mean?
Exhibit said that too.
Exhibit said the same thing because the word gets around. And think about how many people are probably compromised because of that, you know? And what is the point of that? What is the purpose of that? What is the? And then you think about the genre that they were involved with, the whole beef, the East Coast West Coast beef that created what became like the extreme drug murder culture in hip hop, in music, that now is the most, like, one of the most detrimental things to the black community is the fact that the music is so much about drugs and death and murder. You know, even the women, the music that the women do. Look at because Jay-Z is mentioned in a lot of this stuff too, and you look at, like, they were the ones that were the first ones to push, like, Foxy Brown, Lil' Kim, these type of images, these female rappers to the public.
Yeah.
The raunchy. That was the start of that raunchy rap.
Yeah.
I think, you know, I've watched the old, certainly the Alex Jones stuff, the Hollywood Ritual. I've watched some of it. I've been watching the Babylon movie, but I've heard things about Hollywood. I think a lot of this stuff was secret ritualistic things that were meant either to usher in new stars into seeing how they would receive it, and then control them, and then have to stay in powerful people. And I think through music, especially through hip hop, it became very overt in your face. And I think guys like P. Diddy and those people were probably ushered into some sort of party and lifestyle, and then they started to bring it in mass to the public. And what we took it as, meaning the public, is just people having a good time, flexing, showing off, the white parties in the Hampton.
Women.
Back in the day, no hip hop artist was invited to the Hamptons.
No.
You know what I mean? Then that became a thing, and then everybody had a white party trying to copy what we saw in music videos. I know music video is dead, but all the people that are alleged in these things are people that came right about the late 90s, early 2000s that would be in that world. So
early 90s.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you got Hollywood, which has been going on for a long time. Elements of that probably transplanted itself into the music world.
Yeah.
It probably wasn't a music world.
It was an overlap all along, but I
Right.
think into the black culture, it happened in the 90s.
Right, where you could see, wow, there's a element of decadence, and like we're doing big things, we're crushing it. Everything was about swag, and everything was about look at us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And look at the money, and it drew people in because that's how young people are. Young people are attracted to. They're attracted to that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're attracted to it.
Yeah. Young people who have no
direction,
no stability,
Yeah.
no grounding.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what, and that's what they're looking for. They're looking to see part of like the whole. You guys know this more than anybody else because you guys were on them shows. They try to get to see how enthusiastic and excited you are to be there, but they really want to know what are you willing to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They use your desire to be famous and to be successful against you.
Sure.
I mean, when you, again, the Wendy Williams documentary, she talks about that. She wanted to, I was just watching the Monique interview with Shannon Sharp. She says it she kept saying, I wanted to be famous so bad. I just wanted to be famous. I just wanted to be famous. They know that. They figure that out early on, and they figure that out with the ones that are willing to do whatever, you know. And I think, again, with us, they would always gauge it. We would be in these meetings, and you could see,
right,
those tactics were there.
Yeah. One that always stuck out to me, dude. Like, you reminded me of a meeting that we had in Atlanta with somebody who's linked
to Puffy. I was thinking of the same thing.
To P. Diddley. He said to us, you know, behind the scenes after, I guess, the meeting. I don't remember exactly.
Well, first we sang a song. We auditioned on a stage, and then after we auditioned, then we had the meeting.
Yeah, and he said to us, because he's trying to gauge us, trying to read. You guys are hard to read.
Yeah,
I can't get a sense of how you're feeling.
Yeah,
because we're already, you know, at a stage where, you know, we're not fazed by, you know, all the people, you know, exciting us with all these promises and, you know, things like that.
Well,
so
you know how many people lie.
Yeah, right.
You know how many people.
We're not starstruck.
Yeah.
We're not. you're not gonna get us with who you are connected to or how famous you can make us. So people couldn't read us, and they would say it all the time. But you know what else I remember from that meeting? There was one of us. I'm not gonna say who, but there was one of us who flat out said, "I'm willing to do whatever I have to do to make it." You remember that?
It ain't none of us here.
There ain't none of us here. But one of us said that, and I remember looking at that like, "What are you talking about?"
Right. Yeah. And part of it too is honestly, I think this, right? Like these people put in these positions, are they deserving of these positions? Like meaning, did they work hard to get there, or are they people willing to supply a certain thing?
Yeah.
Because sometimes it may not even be them that are there. It could be them being perverts too.
Yeah.
But it could also be you guys remember Sound of Freedom. Mm-hmm. You remember the actress, the woman who played the beautiful
Miss Columbia or whatever?
Yeah, Miss Columbia.
Yeah.
She is a liaison between people hoping to land it big with fortune and fame,
right,
and the people who want these children.
But she's been promised a certain lifestyle.
Exactly.
And as long as she can keep providing these children and keep doing her job, she's guaranteed a certain lifestyle.
Right.
And that's what these people are.
That's what they are.
go-between.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think it's not so. It is.
But see, that's the thing. They're also being provided with their desires. All of their vices are being given to them.
Sure, but we need a go between here. Yeah. We need you to prep the people. You gauge them.
Yeah.
You tell us how we're reading them. And one of it is that if, let's say, you want to be a star, right? And I invite you to a producer. I'm sending you over to producer Romeo.
Yeah.
And they really want to gauge how you respond. So Romeo comes out naked. Hey, give me that towel over there.
Yeah.
If you run out of there, oh yeah, he sucks. He's not.
Yeah.
But if you stay,
right,
Romeo can then tell whoever it is. I don't know why I call a person Romeo, but you know what I mean. But
all the bachata fans are mad as hell right
now. But what I'm saying is, could this person be a person who is just meant? What we think is a producer or some talent scout could be a person just really gauging the warmness of the temperature.
Or they could be an asset.
Yeah, that's all.
When we talk about, we're going to talk about this later with the CIA. There's assets and there's
right.
There's informants.
That's what I think people don't see though. We see a door
handlers
open.
and assets.
Handlers.
Yeah,
that's the
handlers
word.
and assets.
Handlers.
Yeah.
They're handlers.
Yeah.
They're just meant to. You get ushered into different stages based on how you respond.
Yeah.
That's it.
But I also think there is an agenda behind it where it's like to
no doubt
continually degrade people's perception of what morality is to then usher in the ultimate, which is like anything goes.
Right.
You know?
Think about it. We had almost 20-something years of people holding a ticket on TV. I'm going to the next stage.
Yeah, right.
I mean, and if you're a person at home fantasizing about this,
right,
that's how you're supposed to respond. So if you come in and they're like, Jamie, you won, and you're like, thank you guys, and like, are you excited? And you're like,
they literally did that to us.
Yeah. This is what they want.
They're like, guys, we're gonna refilm it. Can you guys just be a little bit more excited, please? Like, we just need to get a little more energy out of you.
That's what I'm saying. I think what we don't understand is there's a handler stage department to take you from one thing to the next.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And the thing is, it's not because they want us to be excited about it. It's because they want other people to see us so excited about it, because then that sends a message to the next generation of people.
We have a revolving door. People want to be like you.
Exactly.
Yeah. And for us, it was always like, I think we were in that by the river stage. Of like, when we talk about by the river.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, if I can go to this
we already went to the tree. It wasn't there. We already went to the fountain. It wasn't there. So you're going to keep trying to tell us to go places.
But not just that, but we were still like, okay, what do we got to do?
Right.
We're trying to figure out, what is it? Because everywhere we're going and every place they're trying to take us to, it's like this. We realize, this isn't it.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, what is it?
Yeah.
Well, what is the thing? Because you really don't know. It's vague.
Yeah.
But
know?
I think deep down inside, there is no thing.
Yeah.
That's the point.
You're just kind of hoping that there still
Yeah,
is.
that's the point. You're like, because even though we're like, no, we're not going to do that. No, but we're still like holding out for, well, show us the thing that we will do.
Yeah.
But then it's like, oh, it's never there because there is no thing.
There is a thing, but we're not willing to do it.
Well, that's what I mean. I mean,
No, sir.
yeah, in terms of us, like, well, what's the thing that looks good to us?
Yeah.
What's the thing we're willing to consume?
Right.
And it never was there.
Yeah.
And I think, like, if our desire was just to make it,
by any means necessary.
or not even just by any means, like to make it, that eventually, little by little, it would be by any means because we would give up more of ourselves along the way.
Yeah.
That's what those parties are for. It's to show you that if you do this, you get there.
Yeah.
But I think we saw early on, like, because we held on to certain principles, and it was like, no, just treat everybody right. And then we saw how that worked. Like, oh, let's treat this person, even though they did us dirty or they talked evil to us. Let's how can we help them?
Yeah.
And then we saw, oh, it wasn't really, they were just mad. They were just angry at the time.
Yeah.
And then now they want to help us because we look past their attitude, you know, and then seeing how that worked throughout, and then getting on tours, and we realize, like, oh, you treat people. Now that can be that can be a manipulation too.
Yeah.
Like, well, if I just treat people right, eventually I'll get to where I need to get to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That can be twisted too. But the point is, it's faith. It's not. There's no way to fake faith. Like, the point is, why are you doing this? Because you trust God. God told us, love everybody.
Yeah.
Right? There's a reason why you do this. So we ended up getting to that reason. That's my point. Like, we started to do, oh, well, let's just be kind to everybody. But why?
Yeah.
We started to get to the why. And that why started to set us on a rock that we didn't know we were finding.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And eventually we found it.
All right, let me keep going because I want to get into the executive side of things. Oh, why am I not getting no audio?
So where have we heard this before? Oh, yes, of course, Jeffrey Epstein, who was bizarrely protected.
Yeah, we know,
The
we
chef
know.
to the housekeepers to walk around with a pouch or a fanny pack filled with her job, as alleged, clearly is blackmail on politicians. So what we are recognizing is that this ring also exists within Hollywood. Explosive allegation number 3 was that there's even a Ghislaine Maxwell, so to speak, a madame, and that is the other woman that is listed in this lawsuit. His chief of staff, Christina Karam. I don't know how journalists aren't interested in figuring out who this woman is.
Isn't it crazy how we're not hearing anyone report on this lawsuit with all this evidence, all these people named, all this, like, it's crazy.
Her job, as alleged in this lawsuit, was to keep Diddy high. I'm going to tell you what this lawsuit says explicitly about her. According to Mr. Jones, during the 13 months he lived and traveled with Diddy, he witnessed defendant Karam openly order her assistants to keep Mr. Combs high off of gummies and pills. Defendant Karam required all employees, from the butler, the chef, to the housekeepers, to walk around with a pouch or a fanny pack filled with cocaine, GHB, ecstasy, marijuana gummies, and Tukey. I don't know if I'm saying that right. That's a pink drug that is a combination of ecstasy and cocaine. It was important to the...
Don't you think she's probably a handler for someone else, from someone else,
No doubt.
to keep him, you know what I mean?
At bay.
Yeah.
defendant Karam to have Mr. Combs' drug of choice immediately ready whenever he asked for it. She also ordered, allegedly, sex workers and prostitutes for Mr. Combs and would order the distribution of ecstasy, cocaine, GHB, ketamine, marijuana, and mushrooms to Mr. Combs and his celebrity guests who were present on his rented yacht and in his homes throughout LA, New York City, and Miami. And he alleges that he was also forced to keep that drug in a pouch on him at all times against his will. Again, this is explosive. He even lists everybody in the ring. He says that it is Diddy's son, Justin, that solicits the prostitutes and the underage girls and the sex workers, allegedly, for these freak-offs. He also lists Stevie J, who recruits the sex workers and attends and participates in the freak-offs, and another young man named Brendan Paul, who works as Mr. Combs' mule. He acquires and distributes all of the drugs and the guns.
So I thought this girl was working out like crazy.
Okay. Let's pull that down, Mom. So that's the handler situation. We're going to keep going in a second. I'm just going to let this ad play. All right, here we go.
Everything in this document, I encourage you guys to read it because it is stunning. And yes, Christina Karam apparently even instructs them to mix those drugs into the liquor when these women are invited over. So why is the media not interested in this story? Well, here is explosive allegation number 4 coming from this lawsuit. That the person who sits at the top of this ring potentially is Sir Lucian Grange. He is the CEO of Universal Music Group.
You guys ever heard that name before? Lucian Grange? I've heard his name many times just from watching interviews, hearing people thank people. He is one of the richest guys in the music business. He has like some of the biggest publishing catalogs. He's the top of Universal Music Group. Jay-Z mentioned him in a song talking about publishing on his 444 album where he said something about, Lucian is cool, but Lucian don't write. So like, why does he get all the money?
It's funny his name's Lucian.
Yeah.
Well, get ready. Get ready. Okay? Let's keep watching.
He is also being sued. He has also been named as well as Universal Music Group. And he is, as a fact, one of the most powerful men in Hollywood. He runs, again, Universal Music Group, which is huge. Well, Rodney, the producer, was alleging that when Lucian would visit Diddy's house, the two of them would go into Diddy's bedroom and be locked up in there for hours. What does that mean? What are we supposed to think of that? By the way, I looked into Lucian, obviously, because I was fascinated by this document, and I find it really bizarre that he completely changed his name. He used to be Michael G., the son of Cecil G., who was a huge tailor in London. I found that in this old article, The Guardian, the headline is "Forgotten and Overlooked: How Jewish Designers Dressed the Beatles and Changed."
Dressed the Beatles designer was his father.
Wow. Lucian. Yeah.
His name was Michael. He changed it to Lucian.
Right when I heard that name, I knew something.
I thought the same thing, and then it's interesting.
Global fashion, and in this article, there's a picture of Lucian. He was then, again, Michael G. He's sitting with his father, Cecil G. And it's just bizarre that also his father changed his name. In the article, it tells you that his father used to be Sasha Goldstein. So Sasha Goldstein became Cecil G., who gave birth to Michael G., who is now Lucian Grange. I mean, totally bizarre rabbit hole. If you guys want to look into it, I just thought it was weird. I said a cursor.
It is a bizarre rabbit hole, but it happens all the time. When you look into a lot of these people that run a lot of these businesses, there's always name changes. There's always like
Is it to
weird,
protect themselves or
protect themselves? Maybe not protect where they come from. I don't know. But even when you think about the Rothschilds, that wasn't their original name. Like this is what they do.
Or maybe even part of the initiation.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Research and found all of that. Perhaps most crucial, though, in the lawsuit is that unbeknownst to Lucian, Diddy also has a ton of hidden cameras all throughout his house, including in his bedroom, which would perhaps suggest that the blackmail runs both ways. Maybe he also has blackmail on Lucian Grange. Again, I don't know. I'm just telling you what's in this lawsuit and what we can derive from it if these allegations are true. And again, the fact that there are so many photos in this document at least proves that he does have evidence of some sort. Which brings us to number 5, and this is pretty explosive, that we can garner that Cat Williams was right. don't know who Cat Williams is. He is the comedian. He's been a comedian for a very long time.
And we know this. We talked about this already. But yeah, so that's pretty much, I just wanted to show that. I wanted to get into the Lucian thing because that is very interesting. And just how far the rabbit hole goes when you look into the people that run these industries and the ones that are the heads of the music that is destroying our communities.
Yeah. And you think about it like, because people think it's prestige. They'd be like, oh, I'm signed to Universal. I'm signed to this. And it's like, even the name and how did they get there?
Yeah.
What did they do? What's the backstory? Like, we're so brainwashed that we don't even think about these things.
Yep.
We don't think about how they get there. Where are they at now? What are they doing? How are they sustaining? Who's running it?
What's their mission?
Right.
What's their purpose?
All these
Why are they
things.
named Universal Music Group? Like, think about all the names. We just talked
Columbia.
about Bad Boy. We talked about Death Row. Like, those are obviously terrible names that you would think, like, you would be like, why would I be signed to a label called Death Row Records or Murder Inc.? But we never think about Columbia. Where does that come from? Why are they named Columbia Records? Why is there a Columbia broadcast system? Why is there a District of Columbia? What is the obsession with this Columbia thing? I remember looking into that years ago and being like, okay, this is crazy. And then CBS, their symbol being the all-seeing eye. You know what I mean? And them being the first broadcast system in the entire country. The first radio broadcast was CBS. And then knowing the history behind that. But yeah, so, and then you start understanding like how this idea of the Illuminati thing starts becoming this catch-all phrase for just what it is this elite class of people that, because Illuminati comes from the idea of we know more than you. That's really what it comes to, the enlightened ones. We know more than you.
Yeah.
And we're going to weaponize that to always be one step ahead of you or two or three steps ahead of you, which is going to lead us into the CIA thing because it's all.
And this is where like we have to understand that it reminds me of Psalms 2, you know, like where it says that the kings, they gather together, right?
Yeah.
Who are they gathering together against? The anointed, right? The anointed and God, right?
Yeah.
But what does it say? God laughs.
Yep.
Right? And I was talking to you about this. Like, it's funny how people gather together, but to me, it's interesting how you're gonna have a gathering of the wheat. You're gonna have a gathering of the tares. You're gonna have a gathering together. It's just funny how they collect themselves together. How they're just the wicked. They do the work for God, right? They just come together.
They start collectivizing themselves.
Yeah. And even in that, like us learning, okay, you have to be wise as serpents, but you have to be gentle as doves, right?
Yeah.
You have to learn, how can I come into these places and win? Obviously, I can't do it without God, right? So, because a lot of people, that's the only thing I hate about when we talk about these things is that people start, see, I told you, see, when it's like, no, hold up. There's still the God aspect. There's still Jesus. He's greater than all of this, right? And we have to trust in him. But if you want to hold on to that and stay there, hey, you're willing to stay there, but you're going to be a loser.
Right.
You're not going to win. Right?
We could easily be like, all right, so I guess we should just stay out of the music industry.
Yeah.
Like,
right. But when you know that, hold up, God's created all these things.
Yeah.
He created, then you can like music. Music comes from God.
Comes from God, yeah.
Right? It's good. But we just have to
been perverted.
We have to twist it back, right? It's been twisted. We got to twist it back. You can't twist it back if you don't go to the one who created it, right? You got to submit yourself to him, and now you're able to infiltrate these things. We are meant to bring about a new creation, right? How are you going to understand how God created things if you don't submit yourself as the first fruits of that creation?
Yeah.
To be born again. So, yeah, you're not going to understand how things work. So now we got people just speculating. And that's where it like reminds me of like Wendy Williams or Silly Women always, what? Always learning,
but never coming into
the knowledge of the truth.
The truth, yeah.
You never come into it because you're always you're always getting things in the perverted sense,
Right.
but you're never understanding why it was pure, how it was pure. You know what I mean? You're never getting that.
Yeah.
Because purity comes through Jesus.
Yeah.
Right? He's that first fruit of all creation.
All right, I want to play one more thing pertaining to this because we're talking about the music industry. We're talking about those heads of these labels that have been pushing certain things to the community, to our culture, that we have been consumers of, you know. And let's be clear about this. Like, they have a clear understanding that they are the elites and we are the consumers in their mind. And if we're willing to consume this stuff, then we deserve it. And I want to show you, there's this new young rapper. His name is Lil RT. And he's been going viral and gaining a lot of traction lately. But there's a bunch of people that are outraged by this. But we have to ask the question, like, how is this even being pushed? How is this even legally allowed? So I'm going to play a little clip, just a little bit clip of some of his music right here. This is like a 6-second clip because this is probably all we could probably even show.
We pull up with them gloves and we get drunk. Stay your ass on the grind. Nobody gonna die cause your ass a bitch.
I don't know if you can understand anything he just said. He was talking about pulling guns out on people and shooting them, and basically. And then he has a bunch of songs like this where he's talking about shooting people, talking about getting money. There's a song that he has where he's talking about having sex with a woman. Yes, where he talks about how he has sex with women. And then there's these other clips of him. I'm going to show a little bit of this just for you to understand him performing in a strip club. In a strip club. I'm not going to play the audio. This is him in a strip club.
Where are his parents?
That's a great question. I'm going to show one more of him in a strip club with a grown woman twerking on a 9-year-old boy.
He's 9?
He's 9 years old.
That
and they're
is-
clapping. You see people clapping. You see people cheering it on. But when you have a culture that sees nothing wrong with the behavior, when they make excuses for this is what you end up with.
Yeah, when you consume anything.
Yeah.
When you take in anything.
Right.
That's child abuse, so.
This is what I'm saying. How is this even allowed?
Yeah.
People should be arrested over this stuff.
Like you said earlier, who's promoting that?
Right.
Because this doesn't land on somebody's okaying this.
Someone has to book this kid at a strip club.
It's sad, man. It's really sad.
It's
all debauchery.
Yeah. We talked about it, not too long ago with the woman rapper. I don't even remember her name, but talking about
Sexy Red.
Was it Sexy Red?
Sexy Red, yeah. Sexy Red, talking about the lyrics, talking about the...
But, blowing up. Somebody's back.
But I am seeing people basically saying the same thing we are. Like, when I see stuff on Instagram, I'm not on Twitter, but I see stuff on Instagram. I see people basically talking out about, like, saying this is wrong. Like, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. If you look at the comments of these videos, they are going in saying how this is horrible.
Yeah. So I think they're pushing it, but I think it's not getting the desired effect that they want because people are starting to realize that this is too much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. But there has to be an aspect of people standing up, not just in comments, but speaking against it.
Sure.
And I do believe that over and over again, that when you're in pride, you step out there too far. You overplay your hand.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Because you get blinded by your own light.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if you're made to feel like, you can't criticize black culture because otherwise it's racist, then you won't say nothing.
Well, it's funny you said you get blinded by your own light, and that second before you said that, I was thinking Lucifer means light bringer, right? Lucian means light. That's what that means.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's.
Well, Lucian is a playoff of Lucifer. So
Yeah.
That's why. we talked. That's why we were saying what we were saying.
I'm just saying it's crazy how it's all connected, all that.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go get into these videos that I had from. So, Diary of a CEO is one of the podcasts that I catch every now and then. Sometimes I send you guys clips from there because he has interesting people on there. I don't agree with all this dude's views. Of course, I don't even know why I got to say that, but he has some interesting people on. He had a guy who was an ex-CIA agent, was recruited straight out of the military. Like, this dude was in charge of, he was one of the guys that had the ring that you put in the machine to launch nuclear weapons. Like, him and another guy. Like, that's where he was. He was in the Air Force. And when he was 27 years old, he got a pop-up on his computer that pretty much gave him the information that he was being recruited by the CIA. And then he went through the whole process, and he talks about how he used that knowledge and that information to now run a business. And he has a brand called Everyday Spy, and he uses CIA tactics to market to people and to help people run their businesses. So we're going to go through some videos where he kind of breaks down those mindsets and the psychology of what all that is. And the reason why I'm showing this is because it speaks about everything we were just talking about. It speaks about the tactics of the people that we would consider the Illuminati, the people that we call the elite.
You could just say demonic attack.
Exactly.
I would say
how the devil operates.
Yeah, I would say like James 3, wisdom.
Yes.
Demonic wisdom.
Yes. And that's the funny thing, because that's what I took from this whole interview. I know in his mind, he's thinking he's schooling people on how to be better business people, run a successful business, how to get ahead. But what I took from this is how the devil works.
You know what's funny you said that? The other day someone made us a satirical video of, it was called Podcast and Influencers and Money, the Money People.
Yeah.
And it was meant to satire, but the satire in it was how it's all about tricking people.
Yeah.
It's all about getting people to buy. So then you got to get up at 5 a.m., man.
Right.
Then you got to do this. Then you got to buy NBC. And it was like a whole
manipulation.
It's like, then you invest in the S&P 500.
Yeah.
Then you get Bitcoin. Then you're going to fly to Africa. You're going to invest in a gold mine. From there, and it's like, they were doing it in a satirical way.
Boom, you're a millionaire by
You're a millionaire.
25.
Next thing you know, you're boxing with Jake Paul.
Yeah.
You're hanging out over here. You're doing this. You buy a share in Disney.
Right, right.
You're making moves.
Yeah.
So it was just, I think our obsession with money and fame and fortune, we can't even see it.
Yep.
We can't even see how destructive this thing is.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Real quick, shout out to Michael Hansberry,
Yo,
Denver
Hansberry.
Walling, Courtney, and Emma.
Shout out, y'all.
What's going on?
All right, let's play a little bit of this.
The additional layer that is unique to myself and all professional intelligence officers is that when we are recruited into intelligence service, specifically when CIA recruits field operators, it's fairly transparent. They tell you that you were recruited because you are a little fucked up. They tell you that you were recruited because of a certain psychological profile that makes it so that you pragmatically view things like secrets and lies. There's a few different terms. We call it moral flexibility. Depending on the
when he said
Moral
that
flexibility.
hit me.
Yeah, man.
They want people that are morally flexible. Because if you are flexible morally, you are capable. You're a vessel to be
You
used.
see how they always got to bring up these terms to make it be more accepting.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Accepting.
What do we call it? Wizardry with language. We say
yeah.
it all the time. Come
You
up
know,
with
it
a
was funny
phrase.
you said that. I was listening to this thing, right? And it said that when the industrial age began, pretty much most people were religious. Well, not just Christianity, but religious across the board.
Yeah.
But they needed people to switch to evolution.
Mm.
And they were looking for the intellectuals.
Wow.
They were looking for that. They were like,
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
How do
they
you
were-
get people to buy in?
how do you get them to buy in?
Yeah.
If you start telling them that, you know what, you're really smart.
Yeah.
We need a book by you. And we're going to fund you. We need you to go to Galapagos. And we need you to go to Fiji and find the missing man. We need you to write this theory.
Yeah.
You start believing it. They
Yeah,
hype
of course.
you up.
I'm special now. I'm the and this guy, I suggest anybody go watch this full interview, because there was so much in it. I couldn't take everything, but he talks about how they make you feel so, I get to be a spy.
There you go.
You know what I mean? Like, and they walk you through this psychological game to make you useful to them. But let's keep going.
Situation. There are some things that I would deem immoral, but to do them in a different situation is totally acceptable. And that's just something that I'm wired to be. That's been wired to me since I was a kid. But CIA understands how to take advantage of that, how to use that in a way that benefits American national security. There's also an element of high performance that comes from being wired a certain way. So there is a tie between childhood trauma and high performance. It's a documented connection, but CIA has learned, as has MI6 and Mossad and all the other intelligence services of the world, they've learned that when you train someone who has just the right amount of childhood trauma high performance, when you get your hands on them at the right time in the right period of their life, they can be trained to become extremely loyal, highly productive field operators that end up spending 30 plus years in service to their nation.
So the reason why I played that is because what he's describing is exactly what he's trying to teach other people to do, is what they did to him. And it's the same idea that we talk about, how trauma passes on trauma to other people, but he doesn't even see it.
No.
He doesn't even see it. Because he goes on to talk about how you manipulate someone into doing things that you want them to do. He laid it all out, what they did to him.
Yeah.
He laid it all out right there.
Yeah.
But he's saying it in a positive way, where like, this is why I was useful to the CIA.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. My childhood trauma, my moral flexibility, the fact that I was high function or high achieving. You know what I mean? Well, let's keep going.
If you want to manipulate people, you will learn that from this conversation. If you want to manipulate people, I will teach you how to manipulate people. In just a simple conversation, you can learn those skills. But the thing to understand that's the most important is that whether you want to manipulate or not, others are manipulating you just because you don't know what they're doing, right? The problem with being an intelligence operator is that to achieve the things you have to achieve, you sometimes have to do things that you don't want to do. In being a business owner, what I've discovered is that many business owners struggle because they feel like they have to do things they don't want to do. They feel like they have to be sleazy. They feel like they have to be tricky. They feel like they have to mimic, shyster, bad guy business owners, right? The flip side, if you think of a coin,
Watch the spell right
one
here.
side of that coin is manipulation. And that coin has value. Manipulation has value. But the other side of the same coin is motivation. If you can get people to do what they want to do, then you have motivated them. And that is worth just as much as getting people to do what you want them to do, which is manipulating them. One of those processes is understanding the idea of core motivations. Core motivations are, remember how we talked about manipulation and motivation are two sides of the same coin? When you understand all the different...
Manipulation and motivation are two sides of the same coin. So it's easy to convince ourselves that, I'm not manipulating them. I'm motivating them to do what they already want to do. Even though what they want to do is serving me. But I'm just motivating them to do it. They want to do it.
Options of the currency that you're working with, you can work with it more effectively. So people are generally, despite age, race, creed, or religion, people have four basic motivations. And we call those four basic motivations RICE, R-I-C-E, stands for reward, ideology, coercion, and ego. Reward is anything that you want. Money, free vacations, pat on the back, women, alcohol. If that's something that you want, and me giving it to you gives you what you want, then that's a reward.
And how many times do we see that tactic in so many aspects of
That's
life?
marketing right there.
Marketing right there. We've seen it in the industry. Like, they always try to fill you out. Oh, do y'all want strippers? Y'all want alcohol? What y'all want? And when you're like, nah, we're good. It's like, okay, that didn't work. So we got to go to what's the next one? But there's a system that the CIA has laid out. They call it RICE. So reward. He's going to break
People do lots
it
of
down.
crazy things for rewards, right? The second
Ideology.
primary motivator is ideology. Ideology is the things that you believe in. People do crazy things for the things they believe in, whether it's their religion, whether it's their country, whether it's family, whether it's what they believe is morally correct, right? So if you can speak to somebody through the lens of their ideology, you can get them to do incredible things.
Now, I just want to go back to what he said in the first video where he was talking about why he was useful. He said that they made him understand that the decisions that he made that he may not have morally agreed with were done for the better good of his country, right? To serve his country. That's ideology.
Yeah.
They use that on him. That's what they use on people. Like, you're serving your country. You're doing this for the greater good. You know, you're lying. You're gonna go in.
Patriot Act.
Yeah, right. You're gonna have to lie to people. You're gonna have to pretend to be someone you're not. You can't tell any of your family what you're doing. All of these things are for the greater good of your country.
Yeah, and then you get to feel special.
They,
'cause
Exactly.
they manipulated him or motivated him. Which one?
C is coercion. Coercion is all the negative things: guilt, shame, blackmail.
This is
anything that you do to
Epstein.
force
This is the
someone to take
Epstein.
certain
This is the
action
P.
by
Diddy
leaning
stuff.
into the negative element of motivation, which is also known as manipulation. That falls under the C, or coercion. And then E, ego, is everything that has to do with how the person views themselves. So oftentimes ego gets oversimplified into thinking that it's just people who have a big ego, right? Somebody like Donald Trump who has a big ego, or you
I
name
just
a
thought it
famous
was
actor
funny
who
he
has a big
said
ego.
Donald Trump.
Ego is also people who don't have big egos. Mother Teresa had an ego. She wanted to sacrifice for other people. She wanted other people to see her sacrificing for other people. That is also ego. So with these 4 core motivations, you have a rubric, a process to understand why other people do what they do. If you understand why other people do what they do, all you have to do is connect what they care about with what you want them to do, and you just increase the probability of them doing what you want them to do.
Of these 4 core motivations, is there an order of the strength that they have over people? So if
I've
you were
seen
really
this
trying to
go
get someone to do something,
Yeah.
you focus on this core motivation over that one.
Yes, absolutely. Ideology is the strongest. Ego is the second strongest. Reward is the third strongest, and coercion is the weakest.
That hierarchy makes so much sense. If you can get
Can I hear that? Well, you know it.
yeah, so ideology is the strongest, right?
Okay.
Yeah, what you believe in.
This is what they do to us all. Think about politicians, think about marketing, think about if they can get you to go off of what you believe in, you'll do anything. Ego is the second. So who are you? This is who you are. If you say this is who you are, then you need to do this. If you're a good dad, oh, then you need to buy this product because this is going to prove that you're a good dad. Oh, you're a hard worker? Well, all the hard workers are doing this right now. So you need to buy this product, or you need to vote this way, or you need to do that. You're a laborer. You need to do, that's the ego part of it. And then the next one is
Reward.
reward. Yeah. Reward is, you'll get this benefit if you do it. You'll get this money. You'll get women. You'll get a nice car. That's reward.
Isn't it interesting how Jesus in his sermon, he's speaking about that. He says, look at the Pharisees and how they pray outwardly, right?
Mm-hmm. They've already received their
They've
reward.
already received their reward, right? But then then that's connected to even serving. You can't serve 2 masters,
Right.
right? You'll love one, hate the other.
Mm-hmm.
And a deeper love, and even the reward is connected to, because it's connected later on to what you store up in heaven versus what's on earth that you store up that rots, right? Or is corrupted. So
or you can't even take it with you when you die. So.
well that's so we're seeing like Jesus gave us everything to deal with all the enemy tactics. But we have to, what's the key? The key is trusting him.
Yeah.
When we don't see a reward, or when we don't see the point, right? At the moment, we learn how to trust him. And what does it do? It deals with our ego, right?
Deals with all of those things.
It deals with everything.
Ideology.
It deals with our ideology. Because ideology is connected to idolatry. Right? So it's all the misunderstandings of God, which when we trust him, we break those misunderstandings. We start to get understanding, right? So it's a deeper, he says, I don't desire, because he just said sacrifice for ideology, right? What does he say? I don't desire sacrifice, but mercy. I don't desire burnt offerings, which is sacrifice again. But what? The knowledge of God. So all of this we learn through trusting God, trusting God, trusting God.
So the more we trust God, the more none of these tactics work on us.
Yeah. And here's another one, dude, because as I'm hearing this, I'm like, this is James. Like, 'cause I love the book of James.
Yeah.
But this one right here, this is in James 1. It says God cannot be tempted with evil, and he himself tempts nobody, right? He doesn't tempt you with evil. So if you're being tempted, then obviously that's not God, right?
Yeah.
But each person is tempted when he is lured and enticed by his own desires, right? Then desire, when it has conceived, gives birth to sin, and sin, when it is fully grown, brings forth death, right? So you're seeing the corroding and the corruption happening, right?
Yeah.
And that's literally, he's speaking about corruption. And that's the wisdom. That's demonic wisdom, right?
Right.
And then it says this, do not be deceived, my beloved. Every good gift and every perfect gift comes from above, coming down from the Father of lights. Why does he say Father of lights? Because it's connected to the Father bringing something forth, right? And he's saying God as a father because he's bringing something pure forth, right?
Right.
He's birthing something. It's his seed, right? And then it says, with whom there is no variation or shadows due to change. So now you're saying how it's pure, right?
Yeah.
Of his own will, he brought forth by the word of truth, that we should be a kind of first fruit of his creation, or his creatures. So again, we learning through our mindsets being transformed, right? Through changing the way we perceive things, right? And what is perception? Perception is how you receive what's going on in the world, right? It's how you perceive what you've just seen, or from your perspective.
It's so crazy because he's going to go into a whole breakdown. They're taught the difference between perception and perspective.
Right.
And they learn how to differentiate those and how to, because perception is more emotional based and perspective is more logical.
Yeah. Well, perception is about the heart.
Yeah.
When you take it in, you've taken it in because you've opened yourself up.
Right.
You know, like literally, like, what have you, because perception is literally about trust. It's because think about it. When you perceive, when you go through things in your life, even if it's in your own family, like you've been wronged in your family, you've been abused, what do you start to do? You have to trust somebody.
You start to trust yourself. We're gonna get it. You're gonna see all of these things are talked about.
Right.
What his training has brought all of that to the forefront.
But
You're gonna see.
But like we're talking about this, right?
Yeah.
And we already know, like in this word, we're speaking about things that are in the Bible, right?
Yeah.
But obviously, God has to bring them to light to us,
Yeah.
right? But we have everything we need, really, to deal with all these things. We just don't realize we got it because we don't trust God.
Right.
It's crazy.
This is one of the things that movies get wrong. Movies try to make it look like you can blackmail somebody or hold a gun to their head and get them to do what you want them to do. In the real world, once you hold a gun to someone's head, they never trust you again. You can never get them to do something twice. Whereas if you appeal to their ideology, doing this is good for your country, doing this is good for your family, doing this is good for your health.
This is why our government, this is why the last resort is to force people to do something. Because they know once they do that, they run the risk.
They can't be trusted.
They can't be trusted.
And they play their hand.
And I think over the last couple of years, we're starting to see that people are at that point.
Yeah.
So they try their best to appeal to ideology. You know, we're all in this together. Stop the spread. You know, all these things that are like an ideology for your country, for your save your grandma. You know, they try to throw those tactics out so much because they know that if they go to forcing us to do things, everything could fall apart. And you see that in relationships a lot too. Like you can't. Like someone will rob you at gunpoint because they don't know you. They never need to see you again. But if you want to get from somebody over and over again, you can't do that. Yeah. You have to convince them that they want to give you money. You know, but yeah, let's keep going.
If you can appeal to someone's ideology, they'll do what you tell them to do for a long time because they'll trust you.
Is this really the essence of manipulation then?
That is the essence of motivation and manipulation. The same coin. You'll hear me come back to this because one of the things that people really struggle with outside of intelligence is they feel like they have to label things as good or bad. When you have moral flexibility, you take away good and bad.
There's no good or bad.
And so I'll say to this, like that's where you have the understanding of, because motivation is not really, it can be connected to manipulation.
Yeah.
But it's where you have unclean spirits versus the Holy Spirit.
Right.
Pure spirits.
Yeah.
Right?
Because there is a way to motivate
because
people.
Spirit motivates you.
Yeah.
Right? But what spirit are you taking in? What spirit are you listening to?
Right.
You know?
But I thought it was interesting that he said there is no good or bad, because you hear this
I've heard that before.
that sentiment is always taught in the ancient mystery schools, in the Illuminati. You know, like I said, that's a catch-all phrase now, but it actually meant the enlightened ones, the people that had more knowledge. They have this understanding where there is no good or bad, and they use that to manipulate other people into doing what they want.
That cartoon that we showed, did we show that? The one where the devil was the one that enlightened us.
Yes.
You know.
Yes, that was
told Adam to eat the apple because he cared about him. He wanted him to know.
God was the one trying to keep us from knowledge.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, even with again, James, how's he started out? Count it all joy when you go through various trials. That your faith produces patience. But it gets down to the point of it is that you're perfected. Perfected in what? You're lacking nothing. It's wisdom, right? You're skilled.
Yeah.
You learn through skill. How do we get skilled? Because we put into practice every experience in the world that we experience. We now receive God's perception, right? We're taking in His word. Where He's teaching us how to see it, and then after perception comes conception, where now we conceive it, right? And it's growing in us, right?
Right.
That's the word, growing in us. So all of this, it all works together.
Yeah.
Even in Ephesians 4, it speaks about how we're the reason for like the apostle, the prophet, the evangelist, the teacher, the pastor. All of these things are for the growth of the church, right? So that we're not like little children that are tossed by every wind of doctrine, right?
Yeah.
So again, and then you go to Hebrews 5. What does it say? That the milk, right? You can't stay on milk, but you need meat. And meat is when you exercise your senses. How are you exercising your senses? It's through everyday life.
But see, this is the exact inversion of all of that.
It's the exact
because
perversion.
he teaches all of
Yeah.
that. Like, you have to exercise these abilities,
right,
so that you can gain a foot ahead of everyone.
So again, it's getting you to take in the wrong, like I'm saying,
the knowledge of good and evil.
You're taking in
Eat that fruit.
You're taking in the wrong thing.
Yeah.
You're eating meat, but it's not the meat that God. It's not.
Yeah.
It's a unpure sacrifice, right?
That downer cows.
So yeah, it's an unpure sacrifice. But what does it say at the end of that? It says, no, we need to be on meat where we exercise our senses. But what's it say at the end? That you might understand, that you might be able to discern between good and evil.
Right. Yeah. All right, let's keep going.
I think just becomes a question of utility or productivity. If you need someone to do something and you can motivate them, then you should. But if you need someone to do something and you can't motivate them, that's a green light to manipulate them. Because you still need them to do what you need them to do. If you feel bad about manipulating somebody, you are not going to do well in the intelligence world. But if you want to learn how to lie to somebody, the first thing you do is you mimic the person. Look at you and I right now.
Watch this right here.
Are your hands connected under the table?
Yeah.
So are mine. Are your feet crossed under your seat?
Yeah.
So are mine. We are mirrored right now, which means when you look at me subconsciously, you see yourself. I want you to see yourself in this exercise, because if you see yourself, your initial instinctive response is going to be trust. Because who do you trust in the whole world? You trust yourself.
There you go. You trust yourself. You trust yourself. And how many times do we see that? I need to see myself. I need to see myself in these positions. I need to see, if I can't see myself.
Disney's doing that.
Yep.
Yeah.
These are the tactics that are constantly being used to manipulate us.
And I was literally like, this is the one thing I talked about on stage.
Yes.
Was that we can't trust
Dude,
ourselves.
I thought about that when I watched
You
this.
know, we can't
is that
trust ourselves.
We decide to trust ourselves through our hurt.
Yeah.
When we watched that video of the Asian dude who was a gang member who is now a Christian, but he was like, he lived a crazy life. What is the one thing he kept saying? I only trusted myself.
Yeah.
I didn't trust anyone else.
And I recognized that.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't trust my dad.
Right.
Couldn't really trust my mom. Like, because my mom would stick up for me when my dad was beating my ass. Like, I couldn't trust.
So this teaching is showing everyone that this is human nature. Therefore, this is how we take advantage of that.
Yeah. This is the fallen nature. This is our old selves. But again, it goes back to we're not supposed to be living out of our old selves. The old self is dying, but it dies as we live in our new selves, which is Christ. Right. This is the new creation. We're learning how to live in that way, but then we're not mirroring ourselves to people. We're actually mirroring Christ, right? And so when we read the word, we see ourselves in the word.
Yeah.
We see him in the word, and we take that in to ourselves.
Right.
Total opposite
inversion.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, so the idea of perception and perspective.
Here we go.
I have to define them first, right? Perception is what you believe you see. Where you sit is how you perceive the world around you. Perspective is how other people see where you're sitting. So the benefit, the advantage that CIA gives its field officers is that it trains us to recognize and distrust our perception. Because perception really only comes from one source, and that is your own five senses. You are the source of information for your perception. So for anybody who's ever seen like a little pile of socks in the lower left-hand corner and they thought it was a rat and they jump until they realize it's socks, that is your perception lying to you. Perspective means that you get data objectively from the world around you. So if you're in your room and you see a pile of black in the corner, your perspective tells you, this is your room. There's never been a rat in your room ever before. That pile in the corner is probably something like socks. Your perspective keeps things objective. Perception makes things very subjective or very emotional. So CIA trains us to lean into our perspective, gain perspective, think about things objectively, because if you lean on your perception, you're leaning on emotions, and emotions are very likely wrong.
How can I train myself to lean more on my perspective?
There's two really quick things that you can do. The first is immediately distrust your emotions. Know right away when you're feeling emotions. In other words, what I'm saying is don't trust your gut.
When he's reading this, there's so much truth in this, but it's being used in a manipulated way. And I was thinking about in Release. It's all in your feelings, all how I receive your sound. It's all in your emotions. They find me out.
Literally what I
You're
was
not
talking
trusting in your own emotions,
Right.
but whose emotions are we trusting?
His.
Because
emotions do matter.
So this is telling us not to trust in your emotions, but trust in your logic.
Right.
Which is still trusting in yourself.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Which is the antithesis of what most people tell you to do. Most people say, trust your gut. I'm telling you right now, your gut is more often than not lying to you because your gut is based in emotion. There's a small chance that your perception is correct, but when it comes to gambling, are you going to bet on the small chance or the bigger chance? You should always gamble on the bigger chance. The bigger chance you only really understand through perspective. If you have perspective on something, then you have multiple data points on something. So when you feel yourself getting emotional, stop and let your emotion happen for a second, right? I feel nervous. I feel anxious. I feel doubtful. Okay. I probably don't have to. You probably shouldn't, because whoever's sitting across the table from you, whoever's coming into the room with you, whoever else is on the bus with you, they are all focused on 1,000 different things. And the things that they're focused on most likely don't include you. That's the huge advantage to what CIA calls the trained and the untrained. Trained people at least are aware that there's an alternative option. Untrained people aren't even aware that there's an option. So they're trapped in their perception. They're trapped in their emotion. They're trapped in their subjectivity. And that makes it so much easier for people like you and me and everyone listening right now to use rational, objective perspective to get those people to do whatever we want them to do.
You see that? That's where he wraps it all up.
Yeah.
So we use our knowledge of these tricks to get them to do whatever we want them to do.
And that's the demonic wisdom.
Right.
The beginning of wisdom, actual wisdom, is the fear of the Lord.
Right.
So for us, it's like, okay, this is what I'm experiencing in this moment.
Yeah.
How do I perceive it, God? Right? Total opposite.
Yeah.
How do I perceive this? How do I understand? What are you trying to do right now?
Right.
That's training.
Yeah.
See, we're being trained too.
Right.
But see how there's training, there's demonic training.
Yeah.
Right? And then there's godly training.
But what I'm thinking about is like how this parallels completely. And when you think about how when the CIA was formed and all of that, we remember when we did the episode about Edward Bernays and the father of propaganda, how he was the nephew of Sigmund Freud, the father of modern psychology, and how this guy was the one who created marketing. He created how to reach people, how to manipulate them. He created all the campaigns. He's the reason we eat bacon for breakfast right now. You know, bacon and eggs. But he was of the same mindset, and he openly spoke about this, how there was a class of people that need to be the ones with the knowledge, and we need to just use that against everyone else because they're not meant to be. They're meant to be consumers. Right. They're meant to be beneath us. Right. So we're meant to use this knowledge to manipulate others to do what we want. Sure. You know, and then you look at the CIA uses the same tactic, and then you think about all the things that they do to propagandize us, to vote certain ways, to think certain ways, to buy certain things. Right. We have to be able to see these things coming and not be used.
Yeah.
You know.
And if you study sorry.
I'm sorry. I was
Okay.
going to say, isn't it funny how Satan manipulated a third of the angels, and they were all cast down? But now, what is he doing? Trying to manipulate everybody else.
Yep.
You know, that's why we need the Lord.
I was gonna say, if you study history, especially from a biblical standpoint, what they're doing is nothing new.
Yeah.
You could see this throughout all empires, even in the Bible with Nimrod.
Mm-hmm.
It was knowledge, and it was
Yeah.
I have something, and I'm able to, because he didn't do that by himself. He
Right.
obviously had other people.
Yep. He convinced them to build this
convinced them.
tower. Yeah.
Well,
Right.
what was Nimrod called? He was called a great
Hunter.
and mighty
Conqueror.
hunter
Yeah.
before the Lord. That hunter can even connect to fishermen. So, like, God says, I'm going to
Fisher
make you a
of men.
fisher of men.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and I think part of that too is this would be the equivalent of the ancient mystery schools. What the knowledge was,
Right.
and knowledge basically means I know and you don't.
Exactly.
Because if I know not to eat that right there, that'll kill me. But it's something I know and you don't know. That means I have hidden knowledge that you don't have.
Yeah.
So it's not something. Yes, could it be is it demonic? Yes. Is it sinister? Yes. But it could also be I know that will kill you in a certain amount of time, and that's why I don't touch it. But you don't know that.
Right.
So I let you consume it, and then you need me for the medicine that I
Right.
know would
That's
fix
the
that.
demonic part.
That's the demonic part,
Right.
and I can use it to manipulate.
Yeah.
Here it's psychology because, like you said, we live in a modern time where through television, through social media, through all these things that we've been consuming for the last 100 years, and all of us are part of this.
Yeah.
It's been very hard for people to understand because what's in us is the desire.
Yeah.
Inside each one of us is this desire that we're fighting. This is the flesh, the sinful flesh. Satan understands that and uses it against us. He knows that the flesh is weak. He knows that. So he understands, even if you're a believer, you could be tempted. And he uses these things to tempt you.
Yeah.
And when you don't, Jake always says, when you don't die to self, there's a dying, not a physical death,
Yeah.
but a dying of the desire.
desires, yeah.
You know what I mean? When you don't let that die, then the tempter can come in.
Yeah.
I remember hearing this a long time ago about being freed from a stronghold.
Yeah.
And when you're freed from that, in the supernatural world, there are entities that pay attention to how you're moving and come back to see if the house is swept and clean.
Yeah.
And because there's an invisible war that's happening. You know what I mean? And I think that's what it is. We're seeing all of these things, and we're seeing how these kingdoms, they're essentially satanic kingdoms. They're being torn down.
Right.
But the devil's also consuming it too. He's part of that. He's tearing it down too because he's destroying them too. You know?
Yeah. I think, like, even I was talking to my kids about this. There's you know how I just read firstborn, right? The first of creation. Like, that's what we are, right? And there's a problem with being the first. When you're the first, you go through a lot more. You know, I was talking to my kids about like my son Jake, he played soccer first, right? And he waited a while. Like, I tried to get him to play when he was younger, like 3 years old, but he kind of was shy. It was hard for him to get over that, right?
Right.
So then he wanted to play when he was 6, and he played, but it was still hard for him to get out of his shell, I guess you could say, right? But little by little, he got out of it, right? But then what happens? My little one plays at 3,
Right.
Lucas, but he watched Jake play, right? He played with him. So what happens? It becomes easier for him, right? Then Layla, my daughter, she's actually the oldest, but because Jake played first, now she had an example, right? So now she sees him and she's like, okay, I can play. But the problem is the first one suffers the most. Look at baseball, Jackie Robinson,
Yeah.
first black player. Now, do any no black player is thinking about that. What he had to go through,
Right.
the things he had to do. I mean, I know a lot of people saw the movie, right? Which gives you a little perspective,
Yeah.
right, on what he went through. So you see, like, the issue with being the first is that you're going to have to suffer the most.
Yeah.
Right? Jesus is the 1st, right? He suffered the most, right? But we are also, in terms of what God leads us into, we're leading the way in certain areas. Even if we're just fathers, right?
Yeah.
Even if we're not fathers, even if we're women on our own, whatever. God, he gives us a purpose to fulfill where we become a first of creation in that sense, where we're making a way where there was no way. So now we're confronting things that are twisted, perverted, that are demonic strongholds, right? I think we don't, because we look at these things as such a woo thing.
Yeah.
That we don't make it practical to like, no, this is how it is. This world, it says that everything is given over to the ruler of this world, right? But it also says that the Holy Spirit comes what? To convict us of sin, to convict us of righteousness, and to convict us of judgment. The last one I'm going to say because the ruler of this world is judged, right? So because he's judged, he's leading us into that judgment. Right? So don't give the devil obviously that much power, but know that like everybody has a purpose when we give our lives to Jesus, where he's going to lead us into stuff. And everybody like thinks that it's magical and it's wonderful. No, it's you are the first in a certain place.
Yeah.
Some people are the first in their family, right?
That's what a pioneer is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people are the first to bring their family together. Some people have horrible families they came out of.
Yeah.
But it only takes one to bring that family into peace,
Yeah.
right? And that's what God does. And that's the wisdom of God, right? Which is like a child. But the wisdom that's demonic, it just brings more corruption, more perversion, more division.
Yeah.
You know, I just want to read this because this is all connected. So James 3, who is wise and understanding among you? By his good conduct, let him show his works in meekness of wisdom. But if you have bitter jealousy and selfish ambition, because that's what he had, selfish ambition in your hearts, do not boast and be false to the truth. This is not the wisdom that comes down from above, but is earthly and unspiritual and demonic. For where there is jealousy and selfish ambition, there will be disorder in every vile practice. So that's what we're seeing. Like it's disorder. It brings more disorder.
Yeah.
It brings more confusion.
Yeah.
Babylon, right?
Yeah.
So then that the mystery schools,
Moral
right?
flexibility.
Right. This is what the point of Babylon
Yeah.
was. You spoke about Nimrod. Nimrod was a fisher of men to bring you into a realm of disorder and chaos. Right. But they got all the control because they have all the order. Right. But you're in chaos. And that's how they rule over you. But look at what it says. But the wisdom from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle. So you got be wise as serpents, but gentle as doves, open to reason, full of mercy and good fruits, impartial and sincere. And the harvest of righteousness is sown in peace by those who make peace. So again, we are sons. We are sons of God. We are a new creation. It says that those who make peace are called sons of God, right? So we're learning how to bring things back into reconciliation. God calls it the ministry of reconciliation. And everybody who becomes a new creation, is born again, becomes a minister of reconciliation. Everybody. It's not about the pastor. Right?
Right.
We all have to. We can become first in areas in our life where I didn't have an example. Right? Nobody was an example for me. Everybody can be that, where he's our only example. I don't have anybody to mirror this for me, right? I don't have anybody in this realm. Like I think about my mom. She had a crazy family,
Yeah.
right? But then I'm seeing how God is blessing her family.
Yeah.
And she has a lot to do with it because she is stepping out and saying, I'm not going to talk about my family. I'm not going to say, oh, they're this, they're that, they're that. I'm going to, how can you work in this? You know, that's a humbling and that's a suffering. And that's what God did for us.
What were you gonna say?
No, I was going to say, you know, unfortunately, we have a part to play in it. And that is our insatiable appetite for consumerism visually, you know, by ear. We're sometimes not circumspect in how we're processing and watching and consuming because we go along with certain things. Yeah, things are being uncovered, and it seems as though there's an awakening happening. But Satan also, he destroys. He wants to destroy these people too. They're not his children in the sense where he loves them. He's also setting them up to fall too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They're
So
slaves.
Yeah, they're slaves to him. So they're not loving children to him. He uses them and he's exposing them because part of his nature is destruction. Nobody has no one is sharing this kingdom with him.
Right.
You know, so what we're witnessing is, especially through, like I said, music, television, all these kind of things, not to mention the corruption that we don't see behind closed doors, but these things are more visible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just something. So in that world that we're talking about manipulation and coercion and filming people and getting them to, if you don't do what I tell you to do, then I'm gonna expose this. All these things are tactics that Satan has always used. If you read the Bible and study it, he's always done that.
Yep.
He even tempted Jesus with that.
He tried
if
to.
you fall down and worship me,
Yep.
I'll give you all of this.
Yeah, that's the reward system.
Yeah, the kingdoms of the world. You know, so I think it's just a matter.
He even tried the ego thing. If you truly are the Son of God, right? That was
no, that's one. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a question.
Yeah. But yeah, and I think that's the distinction that we have to be clear about is that we're not on here to rip this dude. We're not on here to rip even Diddy and all the debaucherous stuff that he's done.
He's being used.
The idea is for us to have the spell lifted from our worship of these people,
right?
And our worship of these tactics and our desire to want to get ahead over anything and compromise on our morals and compromise on what we're supposed to be standing on to just get ahead.
We've made these people, small g, gods.
Yeah.
We've made them that.
Yep.
We've made them into this. Well, we're copying that. We're copying their behavior. And if we don't, it's almost as though if we don't attain some level of what we've seen them displayed, we're not a success.
Right.
You know what I mean? We're not
missing
successful.
out.
We're missing out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we can wrap it up there, guys. I know we got a lot of stuff, but it's 10:30 already.
Yeah. We can talk about the other stuff, which is kind of it's similar in terms of like, you know, truth.
Yeah. But you want to save that?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, we'll save that for tomorrow.
I want to save it.
There was one more video where he I was going to show, but I'll just give you the gist of it. He kind of just ends everything by saying, like, the people that don't get this, I don't want them to get it because we always need consumers. We always need the idiots that are going to just keep the wheel going. We need cogs in the system that are the ones that we're supposed to be ahead of, you know.
Yeah. And I think, like, even if you, like, take in what he's saying, and you do these things, it's like, okay, but you're looking at your life in terms of right now, right?
You've got your reward.
You're looking at, you got your reward. You're looking at it because even like they want to act like they're manipulating, but they're being manipulated. You know what I mean? Because they're getting their reward right now, right? Or even if they get it like 20 years from now, 30 years from now, but the problem is, you're only looking at yourself. You're being selfish. This is selfish ambition. It's a lie. You've fallen for the lie. Right? You're bearing false witness. Because in the end, you're gonna die, and the next generation, what inheritance are you leaving for them?
Right.
You're leaving them worse off, and you could care less. And so we're not even seeing it just in turn. I'm not even talking about eternity, right? I'm talking about like just over 100-year span are we looking at that?
Mm.
You know, in terms of him, like, are you really paying attention to these things?
Yeah.
Where are these going to? How is this going to lead your society? You don't care,
Right.
obviously. So you can see through these things,
Yeah.
right?
And that's what I wanted to bring up before, because you were talking about cynicism. And what's the next step from that is nihilism.
Yeah.
And I think when you look at these strategies and these tactics, that you have to enter into a place of nihilism where you just get to a place where it's like
Nothing matters.
Because he even says that in the interview at some point. He says, like, one of the things I've come to realize is that equality is not real. It'll never happen because it's not meant to be real. People are always meant to be either ahead or behind. And he basically says, like, you know, so I'm going to find my way to get ahead. You know, that's a nihilistic way to view the world, where it's like people are always going to be dumb or idiots or be asleep or be sheep. And so there's nothing we can do to help them. So we might as well just get ahead, you know.
Well, the first shall be last.
What I was going to add real quick was what I can say that I have seen is though all of these things are happening, one of the good things that I see, especially with social media, is this. There are a lot more young men who have taken to the airwaves and that are breaking it down from a biblical, scriptural. Now, I don't know these people per se, but I see that a lot more young men and some women, they're using their platform to highlight certain things and to show. And so it's where we've been told young people are useless.
Yeah.
They're wasting their lives away. What I can tell you that I see, just like I've told you guys before, whenever I see these things, I go to the comments because the comments sort of tell me and gives me an idea. Not all the time, but it gives me an idea of how people are reading this thing. Because if you just saw the headline itself could manipulate you into believing it's this. But when you read the comments, and this is why they've turned out the comments.
Right.
But what I can say is I've seen a lot more young men and women who are breaking down things, not because in the old way it would be a radio show, it would be this is a format that has changed where you could have a 2-3 hour podcast or something breaking down why people. I'm seeing more of that happen, and it's not necessarily from the church setting, but it's a young man or young woman breaking it down why we're being affected politically, racially, socially, the music, the movies, why things are affecting us. I'm seeing more of that.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing that young men and young women are picking up this new form, and they're getting into this space, and they're basically exposing certain things like we are, like what we're doing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But people a lot younger than us are starting to do it now, which is great.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about it last week, how Gen Z is the most conservative generation.
I'm seeing a lot of young men. I saw a
Yeah.
report saying more young men have become conservative because they're so disheartened with what has happened.
Yeah.
If they're going to pick a wife out of this thing.
Yeah,
You know what I
right.
mean?
Yeah. Right.
They're seeing this.
Like, we don't even know what love is, but the more people actually love, it's going to be obvious. And I think real love is suffering, and it's
Right.
not for yourself.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's suffering, and that,
Right.
and like when you have kids, you recognize that.
Yeah.
Like, you know how many people I hear, like, I didn't realize this stuff until I had kids.
Yep.
Then when I have kids,
Yep.
yeah, because you realize you gotta. There's more than just you.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, there's more. There's another generation, right?
Right.
And then there's another generation.
And it's how we as men influence. You guys were talking about this young man. The guy filming the video?
Oh, Dougie. Yeah.
Dougie, right? Dougie is going to see marriage, manhood, responsibility, work ethic from you guys. It's the everyday thing. Just because you don't have a podcast and you don't have a bunch of mics and some cameras doesn't mean you cannot influence someone in a positive way. If I speak negatively about my wife and I'm telling somebody about the joy of marriage and they've overheard me, they already know I'm lying.
Yep.
Right? Versus, how do I speak life into someone? How do I show them that fatherhood is wonderful? Marriage is wonderful, you know, from a biblical perspective. How do I show them that going to work and earning a living an honest way is good? If I speak negative, those are the ways that we can influence. You don't necessarily need all of this. This is a good platform, but you don't need this where if people feel like, well, I don't have a studio, I don't have a podcast, man.
Yeah.
No, it's not about that.
It's not about that.
You know what I mean?
Let your life speak for itself.
Right. That young man, you guys have the power, as I know you do, to influence him and show him that, yeah, here's why we do things the way we do. And so do I. When I'm working around young men and I show them, no, there's integrity, there's reward in being integral.
Yep.
You know.
It's something that
and women too.
Yeah.
There's something that I noticed with certain people that would be so obvious, and it was like sad. It was sad. Certain people you get around, you recognize like they don't want to have anything to. They don't even want to look at you. They don't even want to pay you no mind because they don't. Because you realize that you have no value to them, right? You and that's fine. But I'm saying it's sad for them because they don't see the opportunity with so many people. You know what I mean? Like, if we can just recognize people and just ask questions, because like I realize, like, just ask questions. If we just ask questions and really want to know about somebody, you can gain so much from people. Just
you have to
asking
care
questions.
about others, not just for yourself. Though,
Yeah, even if like somebody's successful, right? Like, how do they get there? If they're struggling, how'd you get there? Like, and I'm not saying just to ask that, but I'm saying asking questions that'll get to see how they got there, and you don't got to talk about yourself,
right?
That even like if. How many people are so insecure about like trying to look a certain way, but when you're not even focused on that and you're focused on other people,
right?
Like, you don't even got to worry about yourself,
right?
You know, I don't know. To me, that's just so important.
Yo, you know what? It's so crazy. Y'all got to go watch this interview because everything you're talking about is what they use to twist to get assets to do what they want.
Right.
Like he breaks down how they're taught to. When you meet someone who's a potential asset, you have to work your way into their secret life, which is like their public life, private life, secret life. You have to work your way in by asking questions, and they have a formula where you ask 2 questions and then you do a confirming statement, and then they'll continue to talk to you, and then you ask 2 more questions. You never give information about yourself, really, but you kind of just like you talk to somebody, they give you some information, you ask 2 questions, and then you give a confirming statement, an affirmative statement, you know, to make them feel affirmed.
Right.
And you just continue that process, and they continue to let you into their life.
Right.
And then you eventually get into that inner secret place where they start giving you all the information you want.
Because they start to trust you.
Yes, exactly.
When really, for like when I'm saying it right now, it's not about you trusting me. It's about what can God do for you.
I can point you to who to trust.
Yeah. So you can trust him.
Right.
Like, that's what, if your heart is for that, like, how can God speak to your life?
You know what's so weird? I was in Elena's house and Eric was sitting talking with me. And you know what he brought up that I never even expected him to bring up? He said, you know, when I used to go to your house when I was younger, I just felt so much peace there. He said, I felt so much love. Jake and Jamie, they would show me love. And I never thought that he was going to say anything like that because I never even thought of that. You know what I mean? And that just blessed me. Because I was like, wow, Eric, really? He said, yeah, I used to go over there. I used to love to go to your house. I was like, wow, that's a blessing.
Yeah. One of our best friends, Junior, he's always used to say that to us. And you don't realize even the atmosphere that you produce, you know, that people can come into that they're not used to. They don't know how to have it. And they know, even in terms of, they know what not to bring to your house. They know what to keep outside, you know. They know what you won't let in.
Right.
But that really blessed me. I was like, wow, I never even imagined that.
Yeah.
And that's what he felt.
Yeah.
You know, that was a blessing.
Yeah. You never know how you can affect people, right?
All right, let's wrap up, guys. It's 10:46. All right. Yeah. Thank you guys for watching, man. It was a lot in that. It was a lot in that.
It was a good podcast.
Yeah, it was a lot to go over. But yeah, you know, this is the type of stuff that we talk about. If you think that this stuff needs to be, you know, talked about more, brought up to the public, make sure you share this video, hit the like button. Also, don't forget you can support what we do by going over to our Patreon, patreon.com/youngliontv, and sign up to become a member over there. Also, if you want to just throw some donations to the Cash App, we need some new cables and stuff around here. So, you know, hit us over there. It's $youngliontv. And yeah, this is what we do, guys. We appreciate everybody watching. Thank you for all the Patreon members who are in the chat. We appreciate y'all. Shout out to everybody on Instagram who was watching, Rumble, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook. We will see you guys next week with some more videos. We appreciate you. Peace.
Young lion go live, yeah. Young lion, you rich, yeah. This king of